Welcome to Roundtable Live for August 19th, 2016. I'm BaerTaffy. Slightly askew, apparently, on the overlay is BaerTaffy, joined by Mathis Games, Rockley Smile, Northern Lion, and our special guest, Sinvicta and AlpacaPatrol. Welcome back, boys. How you doing?
Woo!
Hey, you got both of us at the same time, so we're not the same person confirmed.
That's right.
Yeah!
This is the only reason I brought you two on here at the same time, is just to make sure that everybody's aware that we do, in fact, have... Well, okay, what's the total we're up to now? Like, probably 9 or 10 people that we can reliably count on to be here on a Friday afternoon to talk about video games with us, right?
Reliably count on, talk about video games.
Rob, what have you been playing this week, man?
Actually, quite a couple things.
Yeah.
I've been playing Pokemon Black 2 some more, just for funsies, and spent a lot of time working out my team recently. And then I've also been playing Reigns a lot. I actually even have a series on it now, and I'm really digging that game. That game is. Like every video that I record of that game, it surprises me with a new mechanic, and I'm just like, I was not expecting that. Like that's very interesting.
Definitely a lot deeper than it looks at face value. Is Reigns?
Yes, yeah, and it's legitimately really funny too. So it does a very good job. I really like Reigns a lot actually, and it's simple. It's very simple too, and it's fucking $3 too, so it's worth a pickup in my opinion. And then this isn't something that I have been playing, but it's something that I will be playing this Tuesday. I'm excited to announce I'm returning to the world of Madden.
You're doing it,
Thank
huh?
God it was not Dota.
No.
Madden?
That'll never happen.
Madden? What?
Yeah, dude. I'm actually. I said that, as a joke, really, because I know that no one is excited about that, but I am. Because the new Madden has CPU versus CPU in franchise mode, and I'm so pumped.
Ooh, man.
Yo, so I actually saw you type that.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand being the kind of person who simulates games and likes playing the GM mode. You will actually watch your constructed team play against the other team.
Absolutely, yes, yeah, I will, and I'm excited for that. I like that more than the alternative. Here's my reasoning. Actually, it's not terribly different from like playing RimWorld or something, because you're not.
Hold up, though. Are you gonna watch it in real time?
Yeah. What do you mean? Like
you're not gonna? Can you crank up the speed or something?
Oh yeah, you could do that. Yeah, there's loads of things you could do. Actually, the new Madden actually has a lot of really cool features.
You didn't answer the question though, Rob.
What's
Are you
that?
gonna watch it in real time?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna watch it in real time.
That's ironic, man.
It's actually a lot of fun for me personally, but it's not terribly. Look, it's actually not terribly dissimilar from something like a Dwarf Fortress or a.
Yes, it is.
No, you're basically building a team and you're gaining some stats. You're watching them do the jobs that you assign them to do. It's the same basic premise.
One of them is a football game.
Yeah,
how's that similar to Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld?
I'm being intentionally contrarian. I get your point, but did they really take that feature out in prior years and then bring it back now?
Madden 12. They haven't had it in since fucking Madden 12. I know. I don't know why they fucking took it out. It's like the most.
I can't even be that mad because I used to do something similar with my friend with Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi 3 or Budokai Tenkaichi 3 for the Wii. We'd pick a team of 5 each, and we'd just make fake bets and then watch the CPUs fight one another in a fake fantasy fight. We used to do that for hours.
Yeah, I'm on that train, man. I think it was maybe one of the older Soul Calibur games. It was a fighting game of some sort where they made it so you could make your own AI character, and then you could watch that character progress through the ranks in the arena, right? Yeah.
No, that's fun.
You guys all invented Salty Bet independently.
That's right. That's right.
Oh man,
that's true.
Great.
I forgot that does that exist anymore?
It's still going.
Yeah,
it's still going strong.
Really?
Wow.
Salty Bet's great, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, but yeah, no, it's fun. Hey, Todd Howard said that his favorite RPG is NCAA football, which isn't around anymore, by the way. So, but he said that. So, that guy.
Now he's just trying to be intentionally contrarian, like Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sin, what have you been playing this week, man?
I've been playing a lot of RimWorld. I've been loving that. Actually, dove back into Darkest Dungeon to just keep playing. I mean, I'm surprised at how compelled I am to continue playing that game.
Me too,
and
actually.
Totally. Yeah, it for some odd reason I don't get tired of it. I mean, like the game is still frustrating whenever it just decides to win over, but like other than the frustrating parts, it's like I could see even after this campaign's over, I feel like I could do another one. Like I have no problem about that. Also, super not ashamed of it. Playing Summoner's War on mobile, the freemium game that came out like 2 years ago, taking the world by storm. At least Sinvicta's world by storm. Because I'm like,
yeah.
But yeah,
making fun of me for Madden. This guy.
Hey man, hey, you know what? I'm man enough to wear a Nerdy Nummy shirt. All right, I'm man enough to say I play Summoner's War. What you got? Bring it on, internet. Bring it on.
Oh, let's
Been
get to
playing a
the
lot of
more engaging topics here, the ones that people care about. You'll also, pardon me, dear listeners, you can probably tell I'm not exactly 100% today, but we're powering through anyway. We got a lot of interesting stories to discuss today, though. We've got Konami's announcement of a new Metal Gear game, and it's not what you think. Vice has actually run an article, but this has been an ongoing story about those mysterious sigils that have been showing up in indie games across the land. We're going to dive into that a little bit. EA is starting to hint at the possibility of a Mass Effect series remaster. Very interesting considering their previous stance on remasters. The Humble Bundle is good again. We want to highlight that real quick. As well as briefly discussing No Man's Sky probably one more time, if not maybe one more after that. We want to mostly focus on the hype in particular. I know we've touched on this topic before on the show, but there's been a lot more developments recently that have, kind of changed the situation. So we're going to
I feel like I've been shitting on this game for a year.
It does sort of feel like
continue
that, doesn't
flopping a shit and just keep shitting on it for more days. All right, let's do it.
How do you feel about The Witcher 3, though?
I love The Witcher 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that again.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
Works for
game.
me.
Then
Gladly.
Okhlos, this is the police, and maybe we'll talk about the Monkey King if we feel like it. But for now, good old Konami, man. How about Konami?
You mean Harambe? The Monkey
Old
King?
Harambe.
Dicks out for Konami. Dicks out for Konami.
Konome.
Princess Konome Moke.
Yeah.
At Gamescom 2016 in Germany, Konami has announced a new Metal Gear game, Metal Gear Survive. The official trailer has been released on YouTube, and I'm not going to play it for you here because they're going to content ID match me, but suffice to say the response has not been great. Somewhere around 40,000 thumbs down so far, I think, on this trailer. Okay, so it seems like Left 4 Dead in the Metal Gear universe. Is that based on what we've got here so far? And,
Yes.
And that doesn't seem right
No.
on a few different levels.
As someone who only played Metal Gear Solid when it first came out and never played any other games, I even know what's less to do with the franchise, but like I honestly have no clue what this has to do with the franchise, because the Metal Gear storyline is already sort of chronologically confusing and convoluted at this point. Like where does the undead come in? I mean, I don't quite understand it. Who here has the most experience with the franchise overall?
I've played all of them.
Mathis, probably.
There you go.
Yeah.
So here's
Yeah.
and I'm sure Nick has a ton of experience with it too. So
Close
maybe
up.
I'm a
You
little bit
played-
more lukewarm on it than most people. I don't really care enough for like a multiplayer survival like game like that's. I don't want to say it's a weird way to take the franchise because they've gone weird ways with the franchise already. We've seen the.
It's weird for them to not be weird, right? It's weird
Well,
for
that's
them to
what
be
I'm
conforming.
It's like, oh, they're doing this thing that's not Metal Gear, but they also already did Revengeance, and they did a card game already, and all this other stuff that they've already done. And they're like, well, zombies. Yeah, but Metal Gear has had, like, literal zombies in their games before. That's not also that surprising. I think it's just a genre that's already just been worn out, and that's where I kind of stand on it. I don't think they've gone in a really weird direction because they've already gone in weird directions many times. It's just I just don't care about playing another Left 4 Dead game if that ends up being exactly what it is, which it seems like.
It
I
reminds
feel
me.
like. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. The Resident Evil game that came out fairly recently, it was like Raccoon City Survivors or something, came out, was really badly reviewed and just generally kind of an average Like, what was really the point? They're going out on a limb to try something to bring in co-op. Ultimately, ended up as a really generic game, and it feels like they're just sort of retreading that same ground for reasons that I don't quite understand. That whole genre has sort of been mined out now, and it just feels like they're applying names and different IPs to the same genre and recycling the same concept. So I don't see much to be excited about, but also it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with Metal Gear. So in a way, I mean, it's all really a stretch. I don't get it.
I was going to say actually exactly the same thing as you.
Oh,
where like they have those
Sorry.
like side
For
games
once.
on Resident Evil that are like, you know, Resident Evil Revelations and then Raccoon City, and then I think 3 or 4 years ago there was another one. And I mean, I don't really understand it. It seems to dilute like the main brand, but I guess here's the thing: if they just were like, here's Metal Gear Solid 6, they would be getting the same reaction.
I was actually going to say the same thing. I was say it doesn't matter what they would announce for a Metal Gear game because Konami is already in the shithole with gamers, and Hideo Kojima isn't part of it. So it doesn't matter what they announced; they would have been shit on. So this is just kind of a boring game. That's all.
I think they would have been shit on, yes, but the thing is, like, it's, you know, say what you will about Kojima, but he is a very unique personality, right? And he does, you know, very weird, funky shit, and he's taken Metal Gear Solid to a bunch of weird places. I mean, that series has evolved into very strange places over the course of each subsequent game, right?
He's also one of the most famous game developers on the planet.
That too, yeah. But and that's a lot of where the hate is coming from, obviously. Yeah. But the thing is, like, the Metal Gear games, for whatever they are, they're pretty unique in theme. Maybe not so much in mechanically, but then I think it's compounded the hate on the fact that the first Metal Gear title that Konami is making without Kojima is literally the most generic thing that you could possibly make.
Yeah,
you know, like I think that really adds to it. So yeah, I think they would have been shit on, but I think if they had a different, even if they just did a regular Metal Gear Solid, they would have been shit on a bit less.
I agree with that.
Konami promises that there will be stealth involved, despite the lack of any evidence of that in the reveal trailer that we saw. So, I mean, we also, I guess it's worth adding the caveat here that we are basing our impressions entirely on one single trailer, which is never a good idea. But I think Rob's point is still valid in that the genre they chose was not at all groundbreaking. They're going into very safe territory with this.
Yeah, I think that they would have received. I mean, I agree with Rob. I think that the backlash would be a little bit less surprising or less intense if they actually stuck with something similar to like a Splinter Cell, Metal Gear Solid, like if they went back to their roots or whatever. But the fact that like they're kind of, it looks like anyway from an outsider's point of view, they're going in a complete 180 and you know, going for like the zombies. Like even the trailer said, survive, like fight together or die alone or something like that. Like survive. It's like. I don't remember having to survive that much in Metal Gear Solid, but again, that was like a long time ago. So I don't know where the series. I don't know where the series has gone since then.
Who are they trying to be? No Man's Sky, right?
Segue.
I will say, like, if there's one thing to be positive about with the trailer, and this could come out and make us all look like idiots. Like, it could be the greatest game of all time.
Yeah,
I doubt it. But that
was No Man's
trailer. Yeah. Oh yeah.
it's already happened. No one can make the greatest game of all time again. That's impossible.
That's true.
The trailer looks really good, and I think it's a testament to the Fox engine, like the assets and the actual animation quality and stuff like that. And Metal Gear Solid 5, I played what I played of it was on PS4, and it looked amazing. Like it looked on par, I thought, with the PC games that we laud all the time, like even The Witcher 3. So I think it's amazing that it at least looks great, and that's positive. But apart from that,
no one told me that Mouth had his own engine, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's pretty skilled.
Is there
As
a
long as he
reason
doesn't put ham on pizza?
so many games just keep having these derivative like genre remashings without like they're afraid to make just a new entry in a game with the attributes we've come to expect from that game? Because like I don't see how Federation Force happened. I don't know what they did with Umbrella Corps. I don't really get where this happened.
I can see like Umbrella Corps and stuff. I think it's a wider audience, but I agree. I don't know where Federation Force came from.
Yeah,
that's the one with the soccer gameplay, right?
Well, so I read
yeah.
the Konami, the Kotaku review this morning, and apparently there's sections where they've worked in the Metroid Blitzball or whatever it's called.
Is it
where
good,
you're actually,
though? Is the game
you're
good?
playing soccer with the space aliens in there.
Didn't we always
It's
want
a-
that, Nick?
Yeah.
That's what we've always sought out of it.
Whenever I saw
since-
Samus go into a morph ball, I said I would kick that. into a
Absolutely.
Ever
goal.
since Metroid Pinball, I've wanted that really badly. Yeah.
Metroid Bowling is coming out next year. But like, as far as like genres that like don't change much, I mean, would you consider that like someone like say the Assassin's Creed franchise? I don't really feel that that's deviated too much from the initial.
That's been a huge criticism or critique
Yeah.
of the game for
Or
the
that it
past
hasn't
like
changed?
4 years. That it hasn't changed. Like every game
yeah.
is the same.
Isn't that funny? How
They've gone in both directions. They've also got like these indie titles that are showing up on Steam, and they've also got mobile games. They're actually just trying to take every possible approach, like a shotgun blast, to hit
Right.
every possible market.
And
think it's
in
different-
consideration
sorry.
of Assassin's Creed, too, we got to note that they did make a pretty drastic gameplay shift with one of their more recent releases, Assassin's Creed Chronicles. They had the 2.5D gameplay, which is a completely different experience from the previous ones.
Well, that's what I meant.
I'm not
It may-
I'm not like a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I only played 1 and 2, and then
Sure,
I was
yeah.
like, eh. It seems like they're taking the Madden approach, just making a new game every year at this point.
And
The
they
only
were,
one
for
that
sure.
comes to
Yeah.
the only one that comes to mind is I remember Black Flag. People are saying in chat like was so good.
Oh, yeah.
That game did so well for the pirate features, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
yeah, the Assassin's Creed features are Assassin's Creed, but the pirate features are amazing. I want to see more of this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the
then we never
whaling
saw
and
it.
stuff. Yeah,
And then we
people were
never
going
saw
nuts
it
over-
again.
over
well,
the
they made
whaling.
another one. They made.
What?
they made
Yeah,
another one.
that like what you would have wanted is like a fully featured Assassin's Creed that was like that, but instead they're like, okay, well we've already got 4 Assassin's Creed games already spec'd up here that we have to work on. But I'll tell you what, we'll come out with like Assassin's Creed Rogue that was
Yeah.
like last gen consoles and then eventually PC where you can do some more sailing.
Right.
I think Assassin's Creed's a little bit unfair too, because like that one, yeah, it's obviously very repetitive, but that's also like in like deep in your perception because they came out with a game like every fucking year. I think the last round of Assassin's Creed games, they came out with like 3 of them at the same time, like on the same day, on different games, just the same fucking game. And you know, a lot of games though are totally just like the same with new stuff. Like I mean, shit, Elder Scrolls games are all, you know, kind of pretty much the same, but they come out like 5 years apart, you know. And then
5 Nights at Assassin's Creed.
yeah,
They were going for.
they
Sister
just come
location.
once a year.
Yeah, sister location. There you go.
I don't know.
There's
So
some
that-
kind of middle ground here. I don't think it's as simple as saying all these games are the same and all these other games are too different. I think that it depends on the franchise and it depends on the amount of time between releases. It depends on the climate of the fan base. And in the case of Metal Gear, I think probably they would have been best served to just kind of ride the hype off of the last one, which did fairly well, despite the poor ending, is what I've heard. So going in a completely different direction, I mean, is that really going to grab a lot of attention? Maybe, I don't
You
know.
know,
I guess
What
it is.
would've-
No press is bad press, I guess.
Yeah.
I think for Konami, some press might be bad press. And like
Yeah,
all
but they're
press
used to
is
bad press. I mean, they
Yeah.
press for it. They're the heel. They're the Mathis of the video game publishers now.
No
They-
nice
they-
guy.
They embrace
No.
it. They sell
You know what
shirts.
would have broken the internet though is if they came out with like a really awesome trailer for Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance 2. People
Hell
would have
yeah.
been like, I hate Konami, but they're doing the sequel to like this semi-underappreciated cult classic, and I guess I have to be sort of for that, but
Fuck Konami.
also fuck Konami.
Yeah.
That's I mean, it's bad. That was Battleborn's problem, right? Everybody's so mad at Gearbox for Aliens, Colonial Marines that.
Is that really
They're like,
Battleborn's
fucking-
problem?
Is that really Battle?
But
That's-
I remember asking like what a lot of people's problems were. I read a Reddit thread on it, and they're like, "Well, fuck, who's the guy in charge of Gearbox
Randy
that people
Pitchford.
just hated him?"
Yeah, Randy Pitchford.
Yeah, him. They were basically like, "Fuck that guy." I think Battleborn was a fantastic game.
Well,
I
if
thought
Reddit
it
said it,
opened
it's got to be true.
Fantastic seems a little strong for me, but not bad for sure.
Yeah.
But really, that's the problem? People didn't like it because of that game?
Well,
Because
that and Battleborn decided to go up against Overwatch.
Yeah, see, that's the one I
that's
would have talked about.
Right.
I feel like we've already covered
Other
this.
Yeah.
We have.
We've gone off on a bit of a tangent
spiraling
here.
off of,
No, about that Metal Gear Solid zombie.
Right,
game.
yeah.
I think they wanted to make a zombie game, and they wanted to sell more copies by putting Metal Gear on the tagline.
Yeah.
I think that's just.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to be cynical about them too, because they've given us every reason to be so. But I also want to save Mathis from the Konami comparison. Mathis is not the Konami of this group.
I
That would
didn't
be like,
mean it that way. I'm not trying to.
What?
I
didn't even did that. That went over my head. I didn't even hear that.
it's like Mathis is doing what we want Mathis to do still.
You want me to start turning you all into pachinko machines or something? Like, how am I Konami?
I buy it.
Could you do a pachinko LP? I
would do it. Will people watch it? Will people click on it? I'll do it.
Yeah.
I actually love pachinko. If there was a way to do that on PC, I would do it. Peggle's one of my favorite games.
Peggle is good. Yeah.
See, there you go.
I love Mathis. Don't nobody twist that in any other way.
I'm twisting the hell out of it.
All right,
and we're going to segue to the next topic so you can't get out of it either. These mysterious symbols have been showing up, and no one knows why. What's going on here? The Sigils ARG is alive and well in the indie game universe. If you haven't seen anything about this, let me give you a quick visual aid for what we're looking at here. I'm going to get it nice and big on the screen for you, and then kablam, there it is. There it is. The sign of the Illuminati in the indie game world. This thing is driving people crazy. It's been showing up in all kinds of games, from Duskers to Moon Hunters to just as recently as Quadrilateral Cowboy, actually, I believe, had an appearance of the sigil as well. And no one knows what it means. It's been a pretty well-kept secret, actually. Like, over the last couple of years or so, I know people have been talking about this. People have still been trying to figure out just what on earth this is supposed to indicate. Lots of speculation around Frog Fractions 2, which is seeming like the leading candidate in my mind. But thoughts, speculation, hopes, maybe from the crew here. Anybody, feel free.
I would love for it to be an ARG on the level that you mentioned, like with Frog Fractions 2.
Mm-hmm.
I would also love for there to somehow be secret schematics in the wall of the Resident Evil 7 demo that leads us back to Steam.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen. All I can do is hope, and I do believe Frog Fractions 2 will come out eventually. I don't know if this is going to be the thing, but I hope there's something serious going on here. I haven't seen these symbols myself other than just in the Reddit threads, but I am keeping my eyes open now, which I wasn't before.
There's an entire subreddit dedicated to trying to figure out what this all means, called the Game Detectives, and they've been working hard at it. They've got this as well, which apparently is the combination of all the different sigils they've found overlaid on top of one another, and this image right here that you're looking at is probably just as helpful to you as the image that I just showed you about a couple of minutes ago as far as deciphering what in the fuck is going on here. But
is it the ring? The big circle with the missing chunks?
Colorful, I mean, they say it's a map, but it just sort of looks like an ink blot test in various colors.
They think it's missing so many pieces we can't figure out what it is the thing.
It could very well be that too.
I be an old man?
Yeah.
I don't think I have to give you permission for that.
I guarantee you will be eventually.
Yeah.
I think the easiest way to make people excited about something that they otherwise wouldn't probably give a shit about is to hide it. And I think that this is exploiting that, and I'm not even saying it's a bad thing. But I think if you go, hey, we're going to announce this game, they'll be like, cool, come out when you got a trailer or something. But instead, if you hide a map that leads to a URL in Unicode, if you unscramble it and put it through a Morse code generator and then, re-scramble it, you get a trailer link. People go, oh, like, we did it, we solved it. And then it's, who knows what it actually ends up being. But, I mean, it's ingenious marketing, assuming that it actually provides something. But the ARG itself is the meat, I guess. Yeah. Like the curiosity Peter Molyneux style reward at the end of it is probably going to be otherwise irrelevant. But if you like solving ARGs, then this is cool. But otherwise, I mean, I think you got to take some pleasure from the ARG. Keep in mind that once you solve the Isaac ARG, everyone went apeshit over, you got the Keeper, which nobody likes. So.
I don't even play the Keeper. Watch this be like a Bad Rats 3, like...
Don't even talk about that.
Well, Bad Rats 2 is only recently out, so...
Yeah.
It's along the same vein of the Assassin's Creed, Metal Gear Solid Madden talk, so there you go. Bad Rats 3.
That fits the
There it is. There it is, Nick. You got it.
That's way too many mentions of this game on the show right now.
I think our maximum was 1 before this. Mine was not... So,
sorry.
You go ahead. You got it.
No, I was gonna say, could I suggest maybe that it doesn't mean anything at all and is just an inside joke by a bunch of indie developers who know each other and talk to each
You
other?
think so?
I think it might be.
Just to make up media related to an ARG that didn't have anything related to it at the end of it.
There's no point in
Dude,
that.
before you even go further with that speculation, let me read this paragraph verbatim. One sigil was found by decoding the Morse code hidden in another sigil found in the otherwise innocuous mobile game Slide the Shakes. The Morse code spelled out a set of coordinates in Los Angeles, California, which led to someone to find a hidden USB drive on which was, of course, another sigil.
Maybe.
No, you're done. No,
Maybe
no.
I'm just an asshole. But I would totally do that
You
and have
would?
no reward at the end. Yeah, no, I absolutely.
Oh,
would.
you can't be on the show anymore. I didn't know you were
I
that kind
don't
of
think
person.
you come up with something worth hiding and then make a really elaborate way to hide it.
Yeah.
I think you come up with something and then you go, you know, it would be like a really cool way to generate buzz for this that's unique. We'll make an ARG surrounding it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We'll
I mean,
respond by
fucking
just simply
ARGs.
not doing anything afterwards.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think too about like the big ARGs that we've seen that have resulted in like things we've been excited about. I think the most common example.
ARG doesn't result in it. It's not like Bungie's gonna be like, nobody solved I Love Bees, so Halo 2's not coming out, right? Like,
I was gonna say that's probably the most famous example that people are familiar with is I Love Bees, which put people to similar lengths. You know, like people were going to payphones and shit for I Love Bees, so it's comparable in spectrum.
I have a question to pose to anybody out there. Is it considered ARG if most of the marketing is done primarily online? Like the one that I can the most viral one that I can think of, at least that I've experienced, was the one for when Cloverfield first was getting promoted.
Okay.
And they actually established like fake companies and like Japanese websites and like MySpace pages for the names of the actual characters, not the actors, but the characters they played in the movie. And like they did this whole backstory lore with the soda pop company. Like would you guys consider that ARG? I mean,
Dude, Sody Pops? In MySpace?
yeah, on MySpace.
I'd say so. I mean, it's the same kind of thing, right? It's all viral marketing, right? It's all that same kind of idea, the same.
Yeah, and there were hidden trailers, and like I think that somewhere in LA they were dropping flyers or something at one point. But like it, if anything, I mean, it accomplishes exactly what marketing should be, which is that creating a little bit of a buzz and at least discussing about whatever product they're trying to sling. So
Yeah.
It's very price effective for what it is. It tends to cause people to look into things more than they would if they just saw an ad that was up front. The air of the mysterious nature about it brings people together to form sort of like a Trojan horse community from things, which then is very easy to pivot into marketable positions.
yeah, they latch on it and think it's like they kind of sort of taken over.
It becomes
like, possession,
theirs, yeah.
right?
It's
It's basically what Ryan was.
royalty.
Basically, what Ryan said like 10 minutes ago.
Right.
And it's high effort too, so
Yeah.
it's respectable, I think, in that regard.
Well, unless you're Rob and you just decide, I'm just not gonna do anything. I just need a big middle finger right at the end of it.
I would do that, man. I would absolutely. Like, if I was Peter Molyneux with digging through the cube, it would just be like him saying, "Hey, go fuck yourself."
Man, I wonder if that guy got rich off of Godus yet.
No, he did. There's a whole thing about it. He never got contacted by 22 Cans. They went under. I followed that till the end of its existence.
When did
man.
that happen? What?
we talked about it on the show.
Oh, we did. Oh, that's right. I
For
remember
like an
that.
hour.
No, I remember.
No, I didn't
that.
know you guys. I didn't know you guys talked about it.
We've done a lot of shows, man. Come on, cut me some slack.
Sorry, Bear. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think though, like, don't skew my words as being like this is a cynical thing. I just am not to co-op Nick's language. I'm grounding it in reality to some extent. That maybe first off, these guys are friends with one another and they decided to work together. And also, if there's 15 indie games coming out every single day, this is a good way to get some press for all of them that are involved, and also maybe whatever's coming up next.
True.
There's a sigil in Crypt of the Necrodancer. There's a sigil in Duskers. The guy who made Duskers, Tim Keenan, just started to work with Ryan Clark, the guy who made Necrodancer. He just got hired on by that studio. Obviously, there's a level of, acquaintanceship there, so who knows?
I
They're
think
playing
it's
6 degrees of separation from the indie developer world.
yeah, right. I think it is probably safe to assume that this is really just like a secret meeting of pals that all decided at some point in an IM group chat, like, hey, let's fuck with a bunch of indie gamers and put all these sigils in our game. And then we'll figure out what it means after a couple of years.
Right. Yeah.
I love a good ARG. For me, they do what I think for the rest of the internet Pokemon Go did, which is make people really excited about something and get them like seeking out information and doing things they don't normally do. A good ARG will make me care about something that is generally innocuous or not important just because I love mystery. That's all it takes for me. And getting involved in all these ideas and speculation, the idea that you could be the one that cracks this code of something just because you thought about something differently than you normally would, I find that exciting and fun. And sometimes that's more exciting than the actual content that's underneath it. So yeah, that's for me. It's a fun thing.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't go anywhere, I enjoy the search.
Yeah, I like
What if
that.
they start putting sigils on dead bodies, and then you got to figure out
Oh,
why they died?
what if
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a
you gotta
sigil on
find-
one of us?
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody
I've
get a
got
tattoo on their
birthmark.
back?
Yeah, on my inner thigh. It looks just like one of the sigils.
Rob, the
Makeup.
only thing I've learned is that I'm never ever coming to you for video game ideas.
It's a sigil.
Right? Yeah. Let's just fuck with them. Let's just fuck with them.
And murder
Great.
people.
Let's have a good time.
All right. Predictions, though. I think I am going to say it's Frog Fractions 2, but I think that the game is the sigils. So you'll be done playing Frog Fractions 2 before you ever realized you were playing Frog Fractions 2.
I'm expecting a Keeper Junior.
Mm-hmm. It's just going to be another Isaac character? That would be the best.
It's an Afterbirth. It's the Afterbirth Plus character that's coming out.
Ah, there you go.
Wouldn't surprise me.
They call it the Giver.
Right? Yeah.
Well, he's already been named as I forget his name now, but but Ed has already named the new character.
Just like last time, it's Ed's revenge for us data mining.
He's not going to get
So-
over it, man.
Yeah.
Any other predictions?
I don't like. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what there's nothing to predict. It's
Yeah.
just
That's
it's
fair.
happening.
That's fair.
Bad Rats 3.
No!
Bad Rats 3.
Remastered.
I will say, like, we should all
Ollie.
give you like $100,000 if it actually ends up being not only Frog Fractions 2, but the ARG was Frog Fractions 2. Like, that prediction is so specific that if it ends up being correct, you should be like exalted as some kind of, messiah.
I mean, I'm definitely not the first person to speculate that it's Frog Fractions 2, but I think it would be pretty hilarious for us to all collectively find out that the Frog Fractions 2 kickstarted for like $50,000 is just this sigil bullshit.
It was
For the
a
record-
meme for a while.
It
that
was,
Frog
yeah.
Fractions 2 was everything that you didn't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the extension of Half-Life 3, essentially. So I don't know, that's a huge leap of faith to believe it could be Frog Fractions 2.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, the new character is called Apollyon, by the way.
Oh, okay. That's a little off.
Just name one like Steve, because like
Should.
stop giving them names that are ambiguously pronounced. Still got Azazel, Azazel,
It's like the only
Yeah,
one.
you know
Ryan.
what would make
It's like
Isaac
the
a lot
only
better?
one.
Yeah.
They got
You know
like
what would make-
Maggie and Isaac.
Magdalene.
Something to improve your game, Ed. Just make everything less interesting and more boring. There
Yeah.
you go. Just call
Dummy.
everyone Steve.
We
You got a character named Ryan.
Call him
Sigil,
8.
though.
Moving
right.
on. Here we go. It's EA time. EA. This is a rumor story, but all the same, worth spurring into another broader conversation. EA is starting to talk about the possibility of going the remaster route. In the past, the studio has neglected comment or otherwise dispelled rumors that they are looking to remaster any of their previous franchises. But seeing the success of other remasters, in particular things like The Last of Us, which got a remaster like a year and a half after the initial game came out, so apparently there's no precedent anymore, they may have changed their mind, and I don't really blame them, because Mass Effect Remaster would make $10 million.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me remaster makes money?
Yeah.
You should start doing it.
Oh, hold on. EA's eyes are open. At Gamescom, this is where the conversation was taking place with Game Informer, and they're starting to seriously consider, or at least, who is this here? They're talking to, this is Patrick Soderlund, the Executive Vice President at EA Studios. saying that they are definitely in talks as far as a potential remaster of one of their more popular franchises, and I think it's safe to assume that Mass Effect probably near the top of the list there. So, first part of this is whether or not y'all are interested in a Mass Effect remaster, and then I think the second part I want to talk about mostly is how do we feel about the remasters in our current gaming state, in our industry's state? How do we feel about remasters and their prevalence in the marketplace right now? Anybody hyped up for a Mass Effect remaster? I think I could probably play that.
I think the first one would desperately need to be remastered because the gameplay is god awful. The shooting mechanics are terrible. The controls are wonky. It's very much a product of its time.
The driving is really bad.
Yeah, that was really terrible too.
That's why
Are they talking about doing the trilogy or just the first?
I think it would be I think it'd be BioShock style. So you got the BioShock series that's being remastered. I think they'd probably go that route.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said, I think the first one would benefit the most. The second one, I remember playing really well and enjoying, and the third one, for what it was good too.
Let me get this one out of the way real quick. As long as they redo the ending too, I guess they can make a Mass Effect 3 remaster.
I sit in the camp of I didn't enjoy the ending, but
I mean, I didn't either. Let's be real.
The journey to the ending was great.
Yes.
The ending itself was disappointing.
Yes.
So. I'm ready for Andromeda too. I will happily play Andromeda.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, sure. I could go for it. I could definitely go for it.
My thinking is, please stop remaking games 6 months after I play the original version. I waited 5 years to play Skyrim, and then 2 weeks into playing it, they were like, "Hey, new Skyrim remaster's coming out this winter."
I mean, it's clearly based on you. I don't know how you haven't figured that out by now.
Hey, we got 4 extra sales as a result of this guy's stream remaster.
Everything revolves around Northern Lion in the end.
Yeah. Apparently. And then, I played through Mass Effect 1 and 2, and if those get remastered, it's I don't feel so bad about playing Mass Effect 2, because that, I think, has aged relatively well. It's a lot better than ME1. Yeah. But, Mass Effect 1 was 8 hours long, and a quarter of that was driving. So I was a little I'd like to have that experience back, or at least perfect it. I haven't played Mass Effect 3 yet, but I mean, even that is 4 years old now, so it's not like it's hot off the heels of release or anything like that.
Sure.
But despite what I just said, I am very cynical about remasters, and for the most part, I think they don't need to exist, and it reinforces the most cynical belief I have about games, is that everyone always clamors for new ideas, and then when something truly novel comes out, it tends to be largely ignored in favor of playing something that's just slightly tweaked from the familiar, i.e., I'm so sick of early access survival games, but yeah, I did buy No Man's Sky because it promised to be the best of the early access survival games. That is not actually early access. It
didn't promise to be the best of the early access survival games. It promised to be a never-ending exploration of space and wonder.
The best video game that has ever video game.
The saddest belief that I truly hold in my heart of hearts is that people would much rather play a game that they already like twice than try something new.
Sure.
But meanwhile, people online are going to be like, rabble, original ideas, please.
Well, you wonder, how much of the sales are driven purely out of nostalgia.
Yeah.
How many people buy these remasters but then never really finish them? I'm curious.
There's the alternative. I'm probably gonna pick up and play Final Fantasy VII. I never played Final Fantasy VII. Mm-hmm. I think that would be I've never played a Final Fantasy game. I think that might be
Final Fantasy VII seems less of a remaster and more of a reimagining.
Yeah, that's
true.
Yeah.
But and that is 15 years old. Well, no, it's 20 years.
So let's discover whether or not there's a cutoff point that we're all comfortable with for when a game should be remastered. Would it be 10 years?
Well, I can explain it a little bit in my own thinking, because I've thought about this before. It's more to do with the way modernity has changed common gameplay mechanics to make them a bit more accessible. And I think there's a dividing line that happens somewhere between maybe 98 and 2003, where things became sort of more handholdy and a little bit more just commonplace, that people just understood this is how the format of this game works. You go into it, you kind of just understand it. So what we've been trying to do little by little, and to some extent we're sort of defying the same expectation I just mentioned, but we've been trying to get stuff that was before that line to be after that line, so more people can understand them on the same level as the other games adjacent to them. Now, like I said, there's exceptions going on, and I don't really understand why we're remastering games like BioShock and stuff that aren't that old and also look great anyway, and are scalable on PC. like the PC versions are ready, the remaster, we don't need to sell it again. That's kind of what I think. If it's a thing that transforms the gameplay enough that it's relevant, then sure, I'm sort of on board. Maybe. Depends. You got to prove it to me on a individual game base. But most of these games, I don't think, are really doing much other than just mining the name and the IP to get another sale off the same thing.
On a somewhat tangential note, then, Skyrim remaster, right? On the PC, you don't really need it because we have loads of mods that make the game look really pretty. But the alternative is, on the consoles, it gets prettier and it's on the modern consoles, and also they're going to bundle in mod support for the consoles. Is that transformative enough that console players can get mods like PCs have had for years?
It's a little bit of an different subject for Skyrim, in my opinion, because if you own it on the PC, you get the remaster for free anyway, so you don't have to pay for it.
Right.
The benefit of the remaster on the PC is that it's going from 32-bit to 64-bit, therefore making it much easier to mod and make mod not weigh as heavily on the engine as it normally would. I honestly think remasters are really for console players. I don't want to say exclusively because they do hit the PC, but for the most part, they're really kind of for console players. When you get the edition that was on the PC, I guess, from day one, now you can have it on consoles. My problem is like, like an example we already talked about is like The Last of Us. The Last of Us did not need a re-release, I guess, or a remaster, whatever it was, a year later. That's where I'm like, really? All right, that's a bit much.
What bugged me too about that was even though they went and bothered to remaster it, I didn't really think it looked that much better over the original.
I don't feel like it looked
at all different.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I would like to see a side by side. I really didn't notice that much at all.
I would have loved a PC version. That would have mattered to me a bit, but they didn't do that.
I think. In the instance of The Last of Us, I think there was Naughty Dog has a lot of goodwill built up, I think, and then there's just, I mean, it's such a good game that I guess people really didn't feel like they needed to rip on it for being remastered as well. So it had those two things going for it, but at the same time, I still have a bad taste in my mouth about that, just because that is absolutely unnecessary on so many different levels. But it came out and it did fairly well, apparently. So what the hell do I know, I suppose?
Well, I think there is a case to be made, and this is oddly very specific, but there's a case to be made that the 360 was extremely popular, and then Microsoft burned up all of that goodwill in the E3 directly preceding Xbox One and PS4's launch. So there might have been a lot of people switching from that to the PS4 that didn't have access to a PS3 and were like, well, I would like to play The Last of Us. Or this one is just complete conjecture. Maybe Naughty Dog is like, hey, the PS4 is out now. We want to make PS4 games, obviously. What's a really win-win way for us to get more experience developing games for that console? Why don't we just remaster something we've already done and then, hopefully learn some lessons and apply that to Uncharted 4?
That makes sense.
Those are both very reasonable and intelligent critiques of that, I would say. Yeah, I didn't think of either of those things.
Good job, Ryan.
They still might not have happened. That might be a great reason that they didn't think of. But yeah,
to answer the original question, if there's a cutoff, what's acceptable or not. For me, I've always kind of latched on to I'm okay with remasters and remakes. I mean, I don't buy them, but I'm okay with the idea of it. But for me, they have to span for consoles specifically. They have to span a generation before I'm okay with it. If they have a game that came out in the infancy of a just X console, whatever you want to call it, and then they re-release it within the same generation before the next version comes out, the next actual console, I kind of have a little bit of not issue with it, but I think it's a little, I don't know, it's a little cash grabby in a way, like Nick was saying, when you're porting it over to the PC, I can kind of understand, okay, well, let's hypothetically say, let's say The Last of Us never came out for PC, which it didn't, but let's just say that they were remaking it, remastering it specifically for PC, then I think you have a stronger argument for probably, defending that sort of practice versus hey, we're just doing BioShock, even though we're still on the same generation sort of, and it's already out on multi-console, multi-platform. So I mean, I don't know what it is about remasters that just don't kind of get me. I kind of look at it the same way as remakes or I guess reboots of like movies and that sort of thing. It doesn't really, for some reason, they feel like leftovers.
Who is going to the theater to see Ben-Hur? This is like seeing this trailer is like, sorry to interrupt, but this is like, I feel exactly the same way, and I think the linchpin for me is that trailer for Ben-Hur, where I'm like, the movie from 50 years ago is already dope. I don't need to see a worse version of it now. But anyway.
Yeah, I like for movies. Obviously, is a little bit of a different medium that you're talking about, but it's still like I still have the same premise. Like I don't know if you could ever put a hard line on what's acceptable, but for me, it's always been if it bridges the gap before the next generation of console comes out, it's a little bit iffy on that because I'm less interested in that than if it was like, say, hey, we're remastering something for the 360 that is now for the Xbox One, so everybody can play, sort of as a way of apologizing for like no backwards compatibility or whatever. And like, I kind of agree with that more so than just say, yeah, this is the HD remake now of our game that was already sort of HD but not really.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely on board with you there. When there's a practical value to it, where you're actually providing something to someone who may not have otherwise had access to it previously, then yeah, I certainly see the value in that.
Value is that's a good description of the point I'm trying to make.
On the contrary, and this is sort of a fragmented thought I'm trying to put together, the Ben-Hur example made me think, well, do we really need to readapt every concept to meet players on their terms instead of causing players to meet some piece of media on its terms? In a way, you're sort of taking...
Should we not remake Final Fantasy VII for the new player and instead make them experience the first one?
Well, I don't know if I mean make them, but like, isn't there some validity for them or anyone experiencing something the way it was intended, the way it was when it was made? Mm-hmm. And by sort of rewriting history and creating these new versions, are you then making a statement that there's less validity in the old versions because it's not speaking the language that we're all sort of in the common parlance of now? Do you know what I mean?
I like where you're going with this. I think... it's difficult. I'd say personally, like I know that there are games that I'm not going to be able to go back and play and enjoy from previous console generations just because I've grown so accustomed to what we have now, and like the capabilities of the consoles and the machines that we've built now are just so much grander than what we had previously. It's tough to go back and just sort of recognize that you're playing with a product of the times, even if you go in with that mindset, you're still a little bit jaded to it just because of what we have experienced already, and it's impossible, I think, to backtrack from that, even mentally.
But why not just not play it then?
Mm-hmm.
Why not just be okay with like here's the thing, if you're like, I don't watch black and white movies, do you then go, I wish someone would make Casablanca in color? Or do you just go like, there's a million other movies I could watch that fit my criteria?
You know what? The best example of that is like Psycho. The original Psycho, the Hitchcock film, and then I forget who directed the new one that is a shot-for-shot remake.
Gus Van
Sant. Yeah, right. Did a shot-for-shot remake.
But the point that Nick's trying to make isn't necessarily. You can't really apply that to movies, in my opinion, because you're talking about an accessibility issue, literally. If you have someone that's of younger age, and they want to try the original Punch-Out the way that it was intended, how are they going to do that? There's no way that they're going to have like a CRT TV, an original Nintendo that works unless they go by eBay, that sort of thing. So. Like the idea of remastering or at least re-releasing something, we talked about this on the 50th episode with the mini NES. The sort of, if you want to call that a re-release, I kind of disagree with comparing it to movies, just for the simple fact that you can't have a kid that's like, yeah, if I want to watch a black and white video, you can right now. Whereas if you say, hey, I want to play the original Contra like my dad used to play, but where can I do that other than doing it on PC? That's not the way it was intended. So like there's an accessibility issue there that presides specifically with the video game argument that like you can't cure that. You can't alleviate that that necessity for needing a place. If you're so hell bent on doing it in the original fashion, the way that it was meant in like in the early days or whatever, you have to go through a lot of hoops to get to that point. Whereas if someone just decides, hey, we're going to make an updated version of our hardware to facilitate like, updated technology for streaming or for whatever, you can do this now, but still have these sort of, it's slightly simulated or emulated environment that we used to do it back in the olden days, except now it's just in compact and has been retrofitted. So you can experience it how it was, even though it's not necessarily technically like genuine. Like I don't know how many people are going to try to go through the effort of going for the genuine NES experience versus I just choose not to watch black and white movies or whatever.
To piggyback on that, the way Nintendo presents their remasters often is either on the eShop or, like you said, through something like the Mini NES, where it's essentially an emulator that might use like Super Eagle filters over the sprites, which make them look worse, in my opinion. I guess that's subjective, but if you are trying to experience it the way that it was intended to be experienced, even the people that made it themselves aren't trying to give you that experience anyway. So it's like you're kind of being fought in every direction. And I would go so far as to argue that, like, honestly, emulating a game on your own terms on your PC, if you can do it legally and own a copy of the game, which I know it's a lot of hoops, but I do think that's probably a better way to do it than to just deal with whatever dregs Nintendo's going to give you, because they're going to do it on their terms, and they're not going to help you do it the way that it was actually intended to be played. I know this is really splitting the minorest of hairs, but this is actually something I do care about on a small level, so I don't know. For me, I feel like I need to speak to it, but I know very few people give a shit about this, honestly.
I think philosophically there's like two kinds of people as well. Like, I actually do not understand the existence of the Skyrim remake. From a sales standpoint, if you're Bethesda, they're like, hey, remember that like mega popular game we put out 5 years ago? Let's put it out again on consoles. We'll probably sell like a ton of money. That's fair enough. You're not going to sell money, you know what I mean? Probably gonna make
They're selling money. They got a tree. Someone finally developed a money tree. Holy crap.
But as someone who just played it, I'm like, I get that it's less work, but I would really rather you just made a new game, and if it's bad, it's bad. Like, that's fine by me, but, like, I'm thinking right now, I've been playing Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and I'm really glad they made Mankind Divided. Even though the consensus is that it's not as classic as the original Deus Ex from, like, 1998, I'm really glad that they made a new story and tried something different as opposed to just being like, here's Deus Ex, a reboot of the franchise in 2016 that has, like, the same plot as the original with modern mechanics. Because here's what I think is, what happens if you remake The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, like they've already done? Mm-hmm. What about 15 years from now, where the remake is now outdated by modern standards? Are we going to remake it again, or are we going to say, like, no, that game's... the remake is okay being left in the past. Like, no, like, we don't need to update it to modern standards. And I don't know if that's driven by, like, people feel like they need to play every game on IGN's top 100 games of all time list or whatever to be true gamers, but I don't know. It's kind of...
I'm about halfway through that list. I'm almost a true gamer. The beauty about remakes, man, is it's a never-ending well of money. You can always go back.
I'm strangely uncynical about this in that I'm like Ocarina of Time is actually my favorite game of all time. So specifically, this example is good. So I love Ocarina of Time. I beat it usually once a year, and then I also play the game once a year. There's
a difference there.
Yeah, I it's a jerk.
Play it, but you don't.
No, I beat it.
Right, yeah. Okay, that was a masturbation
joke.
It's a dick
joke. Yeah, it's a joke.
10-10, Rob. 10-10.
Anyway, but I play it all the time, and the thing is, if they had come out with that Ocarina of Time remaster that has like all the updated graphics and stuff on the Wii U, I would have totally bought that because I'm in. I played the shit out of Ocarina of Time. I'd like a better looking Ocarina of Time. I'm for it. 15 years from now, if they can make it even better looking, sure, I'll go back. I'll play it. I mean, the same thing, and I'm also in a different weird camp with Mass Effect. I didn't really play Mass Effect when it came out. I played a little bit of the first one. Wasn't really into it. Didn't really like the shooting. Didn't really like the driving. Stopped playing it. But now that if they're doing a remaster and it looks prettier and they tighten up some of the flaws in the controls and stuff, I might go back. I might actually play it. And you know what? That's an experience that I wasn't able to have for various reasons years ago, that now I might actually have the experience now that lots of people loved, when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for Ryan.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you've taken a hardline stance on the proper amount of time that has elapsed before a remake is facilitated, necessitated. Yeah. You could probably say that you were excited for Rebirth, right?
Yes.
And Rebirth came out 3 years after Vanilla did?
Correct. Yeah.
How transformative.
How much time would have to elapse before you would be okay with another Isaac remake?
That, in a way, is like, it gets inside baseball, because I would love for them to come out with like a remade Isaac every year. That would be really good for my YouTube channel.
Right, yeah.
And as someone who is basically like relatively obligated to play that game every single day, even like mild quality of life improvements are quite nice. But I don't know. Like, there are problems with Rebirth where I'm like, if they want to remake it, I would actually be fine with it. But I understand that this is pointing out a level of hypocrisy that
No. It's a remake. It's a reboot rather, not a remake. It's not the same game. It's a functionally different game that looks better, plays better, has more items, has more functions, is more streamlined. It's a different game.
Yeah, Rebirth is a different game than the vanilla, in my opinion.
I guess it's almost an expansion as opposed to a...
I would argue that it's no different than making an HD remake, because the technology has improved enough to where you can do more things with the same basic premise in the same game name, basically. So it's like taking a game that was once for the original Xbox and re-releasing it after redoing it a lot of things as a new Xbox One title. I mean, is that an unfair point, Nick, or like is that kind of wishy-washy on that?
I don't really get the comparison. It seems different to me.
I mean, if you the original Isaac was limited, I think that we can all agree, by the technological limitations of Flash.
Yeah.
If Ed and everyone else and Nicholas had the technology of doing Rebirth, they would have just simply made Rebirth, but they couldn't. So they made it once they were able to actually do it, and probably had some sort of financial funding issues there up until the point of actually doing it. So I guess I kind of see it. I see this more as a little bit of it makes more sense to me to say Rebirth was a remastered version of Vanilla Isaac, more so than saying it's completely different.
It kind of ignores the caveat that Isaac was sort of an iterative development process, in that it was constantly being balanced and adjusted and added to and functionally changing as new ideas were thought of it. Whereas the game needed to hit a point and then become a new game at a point, and I think Rebirth was actually that point. They realized they reached the limitations of technology. When they started developing it, they didn't know they were going to reach those limitations, and it sort of ignores that there was this target goal, as if they knew where they were going to end up, and they didn't know that. It was all happening in real time. So in that case, I don't feel like it's comparable.
You can treat Rebirth or more directly like a sequel.
Yeah.
It takes the base gameplay mechanics of the first and then expands and elaborates and changes all of them in drastic ways.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was say even just vanilla items don't even work the same way that they did in the first game. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of them.
What I was gonna say is the whole Isaac thing kind of brings up what I was saying. Is you guys were talking about how things were intended to be played and stuff. And I think we can all kind of agree that the original Isaac, it was I played a lot of it. It was a great game, but really it was more of a great prototype for a game that could be a lot better. And I think Rebirth kind of tried to deliver on that, because the original's kind of ugly and kind of broken in a lot of ways. So with Rebirth, I think Ed was kind of saying this is how I wanted the game to play and be.
Sure.
And I couldn't do that with the original Isaac. So with a lot of old games, they had to do a lot of loopholes and runarounds on like NES things, like they could only use 3 colors in a tile kind of thing with NES games. So if we remaster those games, are we really not playing them as the developers initially intended? Because if they had the technology to, they would have made it look better, right?
Well,
or they would have done different things.
If we get into the area of are we playing what the developers really wanted us to play, then we really have to consider things like how many features did they have to cut before they went gold? How many ideas did they end up throwing down the shitter just because the technology was limited at the time? And I don't know how much benefit of the doubt I want to give them as far as that's concerned, just because if we are justifying remasters in that light, then everything can be justified, just because everyone's working with hardware limitations. Everyone's having to fit the criteria of whatever they have available to them. So
20 years from now, I could actually finally show the real Halo that I want.
Right.
Augmented virtual reality on top of that. And
Yeah.
smell-o-vision as well.
My philosophy on the differences between Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Rebirth, admittedly, is steeped in bias because I play so much Rebirth, and it is probably my favorite game of all time.
Oh, you played the game? Cool. I didn't know
I'm familiar with it.
It's a good game. You should try it out.
I feel like Rebirth for me is like an extreme refinement of the mechanics. Like, it's not about the experience of having played Rebirth, it's about the experience of continually playing Rebirth. Whereas for a remake of like a lot of games, like a remake of Skyrim, for example, or Mass Effect 1 is another good example. You're not going to play like Mass Effect 1 for like 1,000 hours. You're going to play it and finish it and be like, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the difference for me is that it's almost like the difference between maybe like a Dota and a Dota 2 versus an original Isaac and a Rebirth. Like, if it's something that you're going to play continuously and it's not about experiencing like a narrative from point A to point B, then I don't really care if you want to remake it every year, as long as it continually gets better and justifies like its price and existence. But for something like Mass Effect 1 is actually a bad example, because I still think that game could probably use some refinement mechanically as well. But for like a Skyrim, I'm like, I've played it and it was a good time, and people will spend hundreds of hours in it probably. But for me personally, I don't get as much value coming back to Skyrim as I did just doing it once for the first time. And even if it's 30 years from now, I can't imagine being like, well, now that it's, 2041, they can finally make the Skyrim they wanted to play or they wanted to make originally. Like, that doesn't really interest me, I guess.
I feel like
Very
I also
convenient.
may be noticing a little bit of a pattern in what we've been talking about thus far, where it's a lot easier to be happy and acceptant of the games that we love being remastered. For example, I feel like I may be a little bit cynical toward the remasters as well, but I very happily played and purchased the Shadow of the Colossus remaster twice, so I'm a little bit of a hypocrite there too. But yeah, I think it's at the same time, I think there's got to be a line drawn somewhere so that we're not
All
just...
right, so it's not just...
we lost
good.
everybody.
We're all
Okay.
here except
Bear,
for
we can't hear you.
Oh, no.
Also, I can't
see your
Ryan's
mouth.
frozen as well. For
He's
me.
laughing though. He's laughing.
Ryan's
Hi.
frozen. Ryan's
Yeah.
frozen for me.
Hey,
Oh, he's back. Hello.
how's it
You
going?
back? Hey.
Cool.
Oh,
Well,
all right.
I mean, I just revealed
Great
like
segue.
the one fact that would seal this argument away, but I suppose you guys are never going to hear that again.
Darn.
Yeah.
Morrowind remaster, though.
Well, yeah. Anyway, I think we've
Right.
probably been talking about this long enough, so we may even come back to this one. I like this conversation, but yeah, we'll see whether or not EA follows through with their rumored.
That's not making it at all. They just talked about it for like an hour. It's not even fucking making
Right.
it.
My
yeah.
fault.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes
I'll
of
take
that.
the point.
Next up, more of a PSA than a story here. The newest Humble Bundle is pretty goddamn tasty. So we're just gonna overview that real quick.
Tasty is tasty.
How tasty is it?
Roundtable brought to you by Humble Bundle.
No, man. Well, they do have a... Okay, I actually, you've reminded me now that they do have a partner program. We're not part of that partner program, so this is not an affiliated thing. This is simply to inform you of the fact that there is a really good deal out there, and you might be interested in it. Lethal League, The Beginner's Guide, and Galaxy are part of the Pay What You Want version of the Humble Bundle 17. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys even a little visual taste of this. Huh? How about that?
Dirty.
High-tech podcast. Lethal League Beginner's Guide Galaxy. Galaxy, that was like the space combat one that was on the PS4, right? Is that right?
I've got the indie box.
Oh, that's right,
version
yeah.
Of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool game.
Pay more than the average to unlock lovers in a dangerous space-time, an awesome co-op game where you pilot this giant circle ship that you can add different parts to. Really fun, actually. Me and BaerTaffy played a little bit of that on my YouTube channel. Octodad, Dadliest Catch, classic. And then Super Time Force Ultra you got in there as well. You can pay $10 to get Nuclear Throne, too. So there you go. That's Humble Bundle 17. That's a pretty exciting one, huh?
Yeah, it's good.
Pretty good.
Better than average.
It's a good one.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's a shame I own most of those games.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
good value.
Ryan, it's a good bundle.
Yeah. Oh, he's muted now.
Yeah,
too.
Now he's muted.
Yeah.
Tharsis is good.
There you go.
All right. Very good.
Wait, Tharsis. Tharsis is not in this
Tharsis
one.
isn't in
The
there?
Survive
No.
one.
No.
No, it's in the Survive This bundle.
Oh, is it a different bundle? Oh, well,
Yeah,
there you
That's
go.
in the No Man. That's in the No Man's Sky bundle.
Right.
The Survive This bundle is actually pretty good too. It has
Yeah,
Shelter
oh shit,
2
look at
in
this.
it. Yeah,
Two pretty good ones right now.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah, no,
Tharsis,
it's
Savage
pretty good.
Lands, Colot, Space Engineers, Rust, Shelter 2, and Planet Base. Compared to the 14. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Tharsis was a fun. That was a fun game. It was worth one playthrough, but I just never saw any reason to play it again after you beat it one time.
Oh, which one?
Tharsis.
Tharsis. Yeah, I think I felt the same way about that. Apparently, they had a pretty significant gameplay update a few months ago for that, though. So might be worth
really?
diving back into. Yeah.
It was an enjoyable time. It was very fun rolling dice, but
Yep.
I have to check it out. I
That
played
was-
Mathis for that one.
It was
Mathis
pretty
is the one
tough
that got me
though
back.
too. Did you struggle to get through your first successful run of Tharsis?
Yeah, it probably took I'd say a total of 3 hours worth of playing before I beat it. So I don't know if that's on the average scale, but I am pretty bad at video games. So, but it was an enjoyable 3 hours though. Even when the rolls weren't going my way. I mean, I guess what we were just talking about with Darkest Dungeon an hour ago is that for some odd reason some games are. The unnecessarily punishing games are sometimes the most rewarding as well.
Yeah.
Because you get it's kind of like being no, I'm not gonna go there. Never mind.
Oh,
Not
come
gonna,
on.
Oh yeah.
No, go there. Go there.
Nope, not gonna do it.
All
Not
right.
gonna do it. But anyway, it's you always hurt the ones you love. So
Yeah.
getting hurt by the one that loves you was you guys can kind of see where I was going with that.
Almost.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Yeah,
Not
the
gonna.
pieces there.
Not gonna.
All right, cool. There's Humble Bundle. HumbleBundle.com. That's where you can go to find that. Now I just want to talk about a little game called No Man's Sky. Probably the last time. Just for those of you that are maybe a little sick of it.
I bet.
I think it will be. I think we've got a closer here.
No, there'll be Sean Murray will tweet in like 3 weeks and be like, "Here's the expansion. It's gonna fix all the problems with the game." And then people will be like, "Okay, just one more chance." And then
Okay,
He's gonna
Peter
tweet out,
Molyneux.
"Hey guys,
Whatever
I
you
found
say."
this really cool new game. It's called No Man's Sky Lotto."
no, the next
Check it
thing
out.
is that Sean Murray tweets that he's leaving Hello Games to found another studio that's
23
smaller.
cans.
I was like
They're only
24
gonna-
bottles.
23 cans. There you go. 23. I got you, Bear. I got you on that one, Bear.
Thanks.
I got you.
So you've probably seen, dear viewer, you've probably seen a handful of videos or articles or blogs detailing what went wrong with No Man's Sky. A majority of it actually springs from this big old Reddit post. Comes from user Simon90, who has detailed quite a few of the misleading and perhaps misinformational advertisements and interviews, discussions with Sean Murray, that sort of stuff, detailing features of the game that were not really present in the final release build. A lot of these things were advertised as recently as July, actually, weirdly enough, and of course were absent or are apparently absent in the final release build. Now, there's actually a super easy cop-out here, which is to say that no one's discovered these things
They're
yet.
18
Right.
quintillion
It's such a
planets.
big game. How could anyone
No,
ever
see,
find these
here's-
things?
Here's the problem when you release your game on PC. People go into the files and they
Yeah.
look. And when they're like, wait a minute, there's not even a trace of X, Y, or Z in these files. It's not even in the game at all.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like, oh, shit.
You know, it's not even necessary to go that far. A lot of the promises that people feel betrayed about were things that are just systematically not in the game in nearly every instance of you playing it. Things like enemies taking down trees, or being able to destroy a space station.
Landing on an asteroid, stuff like that.
Yeah, those functions just aren't present. So you don't need to go very far to discover they're not in there.
Yeah, but they created their own periodic table of elements in which turns the sky green when the light hits the clouds in a very particular manner.
Sean Murray literally designed every atom in the entirety of the universe.
Oh my god, I can't believe when Malf showed us that. Oh, he actually said that. That is the Molyneux statement, man. You got to know you're sounding Molyneux-esque when you pull something like that out of your hat.
I do want to preface this by saying, like, in the end, the developer has a responsibility to say things that are indicative of how the game is actually going to be at full release. But that was where I came into that Skype conversation and was like, why are the writers writing this story without putting like a big, like, well, obviously that's not plausible kind of caveat?
Yeah.
But literally the article says they wanted to make some planets where the sky could be green, which required redesigning the periodic table so that atoms would reflect or refract light at a wavelength that produced green light. I don't know which writer this was in, like, specifically, but you have to be like, I think you have a responsibility to your readers to be like, well, that's obviously nonsense, but there will be green sky planets. At least that's what he's saying, is there will be planets with green skies.
I just need to say something real quick. If you're talking about if you're talking specifically about the where's the No Man's Sky we were sold on thread, is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, that's the one.
I'm just putting this out just for correctness. The original poster was actually named Meat Wing.
Oh,
Kern.
sorry, you're right. Yeah, I'm looking at the games thread. Okay, yeah,
he was
and
he deleted that post, but I didn't mean to step on your toes there. I just wanted to give the proper credit there in case someone was going to point out, like, oh, this entire podcast is not they can't hold a candle because they misquoted the wrong Reddit
misattributed
user.
the Reddit user. This guy doesn't even care.
I've been on the internets for like a day or two, so I understand how it works.
Thank you for looking out.
A lot of my issue with No Man's Sky, as I talked about a little bit last week, and I'll reiterate again this week, is the fact that I don't want to say Sean Murray because I know there's like 15 developers, but he's been the mouthpiece for Hello Games forever.
Yeah.
And he absolutely refuses to give any answers about anything. He just tweets vague like things that just piss people off more. And instead of saying the developers coming out and being like, we had to cut X, Y, and Z, and here's why, they just keep mum about the whole thing. And then you look, and then when that post comes out and you look like, wow, like a month ago, the game they were playing in front of a crowd is not the same game that we're playing today by like leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
What went wrong? Can you please give us an answer? And instead we get, wow, so many people playing my game. Mind is blown. 10 million explorations. Wow. And that's like, that's all we get. And I want to, it's like ridiculous.
I feel like this is really like pointlessly reductive because it feels like nobody's taking into consideration the fact that Sony is a part of this project. Yeah. And Sony doesn't want anti-No Man's Sky rhetoric going out, right? So
I am curious how much of it is legally like them having to shut the hell up.
Right, and I mean, I don't know the facts here either, but if I was to guess, I would say he's not allowed to say bad things about this game because he's got investments coming in for it, right? So why would he be in a position to talk bad or honestly answer questions that will make the game look more in a negative light? You just leave that stuff up to chance, and they'll figure it out eventually. And the way the whole media situation has worked, it's played in... The media is capitalized on this from both ends. They start out by being intellectually dishonest and not calling out things that are obviously untrue, so they can act like dreamers, and everything is great and wonderful and optimistic. And then when it's not, they get to win on the back end, too, and say, look at this bullshit. Look how they
chastise him.
Yeah, exactly.
They got the clicks on both ends.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're completely innocent in all this, but the amount of negativity towards Hello Games is fucking nuts. The game was not amazing. Yes, I agree. But they're literally human beings.
Yeah.
We need to like step back about 10 steps and realize this is a video game and people need to calm down.
I think that the point of contention is because of the way that it was presented and building everyone's expectation up, and then to have it just come out flat out as some of it just being completely untrue. Like, I think that some people kind of feel like the wool got pulled over their eyes just for the sake of overhyping a game for just the sole purpose of it selling a whole lot. I mean, I realize that that's what hype is supposed to do, but you can't. That's almost borderline false advertising. I kind of like. I definitely agree with. I think that a lot of people just love to dogpile on or bear pile. Hey, there we go.
Nice. Put that in there.
Yeah, but I think with the way that he presented it at every single point that the game had a chance to be on the main stage, saying that you can destroy fleets. I could jump into this combat with factional warfare if I want to, and then it turns out like none of that exists anywhere in the game.
Zero.
If I bought the game, I would have been pretty upset about that, because that's just a bait and switch right there, is all it is.
In that same vein, though, like to Nick's point about like we don't know if Sony's pulling the strings, and to your point as well, like you have to wonder, because like if you went through that Reddit post, the videos that the guy references, you can see a lot of these things that were promised are in the game. They show in-game footage of a lot of this stuff that just never made it to the final release, right?
We don't know what. You have to take those as like almost with a grain of salt, like an E3 footage where it's a vertical slice of the game. It's not in that 18 quintillion universe. It's on planets
it's in
they've
this
designed
build
to show
that
off.
they brought to this show.
Yeah,
but it was also
is-
point out that he was playing a scripted event. He wasn't actually even doing any of the inputs. That was the biggest problem that I had with that.
And that's fair. But my point is like if Hello Games hadn't been eventually, like if they had stayed, because their previous games, I don't think they were they weren't being published by anybody, right? Like they were indie for the most part.
They just did Joe Danger.
They did Joe Danger stuff, right?
I don't think they had a publisher for that.
You think if they hadn't had a publisher in this one, and there wasn't this crazy massive hype cycle around No Man's Sky, you think they would have just taken like 2-3 more years to make the game and done those things that they showed off? Or do you think like Sony maybe pushed them along, like, hey, this hype is only gonna last so long, you got to release the game, get it out there, get it on the PS4 store. You know what I mean? Like is that possible?
We play this game a lot about what if it wasn't $60, right? Like, what if it was early access? What if it was all indie? What if there was no publisher? But when the game was announced, they had that exact same candor. Like, Sean Murray has not stopped being Sean Murray from day one. You know what I mean? He's been selling the same game from the start. And I think that's what they wanted to do. And they kept increasing the scope of their vision even beyond what it already was, because they felt that they had such a strong presence. Like, obviously it's been one of the most hyped games of the last few years. Maybe they kind of bought into that themselves, Maybe they began to think that they could get all this done. Maybe they thought that they could push for this completed project that they had all these grand visions for. And they end up getting to the point where everything's got to get axed by the last minute, and they have to deliver a shell of a product. Like, there's infinite possibilities to consider, I think, there. Weirdly enough, there's 18
quintillion possibilities.
18 quintillion different publishing strategies for Hello Games, but
all for $60. I wonder if, like, I've never, and I most probably likely never will ever publish or create my own video game. But I wonder, like, if is the due process of taking your game and shipping it around to relating it to movies again, shipping it around to different studios for publishing. I wonder if like the shoe might be halfway on another foot, and Sony was probably thinking that they also kind of bought into the self-created hype that Hello Games did, and then maybe realized that it probably wasn't going to be the same game afterwards. They're trying to kind of cut bait when they can, sort of thing. I mean, I'm not trying to be a corporation apologist here. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know in what capacity the developers for this game ever really got to the point where, like, you know what, we're just going to start making stuff up. There's absolutely nothing positive that can come out of showing something like a scripted event. Say, look at this huge battle going on right now. But then, like, in the back of everybody's mind who actually works and develops the game knows, like, this is complete and total BS. Like, we know, like, he's just lying through his teeth. This is just a .avi playing right now. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder at what certain point, like, Sony was actually involved with them doing, like, we just need you to go out there and lie so we can charge $60 and then we'll just get out. You know, I don't believe Sony would do that.
Yeah, I still hold out hope that
intention,
it's not just blatant intellectual dishonesty. Like, that's
I don't think it was.
It's overhyped, but you can't overhype it. Like, the difference between this and being something that's completely overhyped is that so many things were promised, saying, yes, this is in the game, yes, you can do this. I didn't even buy the game, so, like, it just annoys me that, like, that this sort of thing still happens, especially in, like, the video in our collective medium here of video games. Like, I don't understand why anyone at any level of the progression of this game thought that this would be a way to create buzz by simply showing stuff that some people flat out know is just not in the game at all. You know what I mean? Like, it's sad in a way, but I don't think that most of the negativity is unwarranted. I think that they are getting what they truly deserve as far as most of the bad stuff that's happening to them.
That's also kind of what I was getting at, the second half of what you were saying, in that I sort of believe that maybe they did actually think that what they were showing was going to be in the game. Like, I think there's an actual possibility that there was so much in this game before it had to be all chopped off in the last couple of months. You know, it got delayed from June to August. Yeah. And, like, not even that was, like, the announcement for that delay was made, I think, in April or something, right? So it wasn't even that much time between then and when the game was supposed to come out. So I'm pretty sure something happened in these last moments that, you know, led to the skeleton of a game we have now.
The harsh, cold realization that 15 developers can't do what they wanted to do.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, we see that this is a game made by 15 people, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's not even possible to create what people had expected with that team.
That they wouldn't have expected it in the first place if it wasn't brought up by the people making the game. It's
agree.
For that negativity.
I think what this is a really excited developer 2 years ago being like, these are the things I want to do. This is what I imagine the final product being like. Oversharing, and then eventually you're like, shit, you know, it's due tomorrow. You know, I got to get something on disc and submit it. So, like, I really don't think that it's malice. I think it is dangerous to share this much. And the lesson that I see coming out of this, and I've seen a lot of developers tweet about it, is like, shut the fuck up about your game until it's like, until it's not necessarily feature complete, but like, don't promise the world 2 years before it's actually supposed to come out and then be like, well, I mean, I imagine that's why you're not getting a lot of, like, forward-facing PR from Hello Games right now, because they're like, we have to take the loss on this one. Like,
well, they've made a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's the thing. They've made their millions.
They just sold out their future credibility.
My problem is, like, if it was like a 2 year ago thing, I'd be like, all right, look, I get it. Fucking companies do it at E3 all the time. They're like, here's our game. It's gonna be fucking amazing. And then 2 years when it comes out, we're like Watch Dogs. We're like, it's pretty
Watch
good.
Dogs is pretty good.
Well,
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good, but it's not what they promise. But when No Man's Sky is still doing gameplay demos a month before it's supposed to come out in August, and the things they're showing a month prior to launch are not in the game, that's where I have issue. I'm like, you have to know a month before this is launching. This is not what you're giving people.
Yes, but at the same time, if we're going back to the Watch Dogs thing for like the 10th time, and I'm not saying don't bring it up again, but it is a good example.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, you know, it comes down to, again, who is the onus on? Is the onus on the developers for essentially
in my opinion.
being... The developers are complicit in misleading the public, for sure. If you promise something and then a month before launch, you're like, there's no way that's going to be in there. Do they have an obligation to say that this is not going to be in there? Maybe you think they do, maybe they think you don't. But I still get, like, annoyed when people are like, I was promised all these things, so I bought it sight unseen. Like, just wait, like, 15 minutes.
Literally,
You waited 2 years, just wait a half hour.
This is the absolute poster child for why you do not pre-order games. I can't think of a bigger
Guys,
example at this point.
You can refund the game.
Oh, I did.
Also true.
on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know why
Can you do
everyone's
it on
this
console
angry.
though?
Here.
No, you can't. But
I have a secondary question
And hit
here.
console first.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but
I
again,
wonder
just
if they
wait
did that
a
on
bit.
story.
I
That
wonder
might
if
be
they
the
did that
story.
on purpose, by the way, with that whole thing. But with
Well,
Sony
they
wise,
hit
anyway.
PS4 first because Sony paid
Yeah.
for the marketing.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what it. But they didn't tell anybody about that until like a couple days before, you know. But
What's your
anyway,
secondary question, though?
secondary question, somewhat tangential. Do we need 2-year hype cycles anymore? Like, is
No.
that necessary? Because here's
No,
the,
but we're
'cause
gonna
here's the-
get them.
But here's the thing, right? Like, you can look at something, the financial success, and yes, the final product was not exactly what people had wanted for various reasons, not relating to the hype that they generated. Fallout 4, right? Remember how hyped people were for Fallout 4? They announced that game like
6 months before it came out.
Yeah, 6 months before it came out. They came out with a big show, and they were like, "Hey, we've basically finished the fucking game already. Here's all this shit that's in it. Look at all that." And they got crazy hype, and they sold like hotcakes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to hype from a prototype anymore? I don't think you do. Like, I don't think you really need to hype for that long, not knowing what's going to be in the final product. With Fallout 4, they knew what was going to be there. They had it. It was done, basically.
Yeah.
They were just polishing at that point.
It's not a consumer forward strategy. They do this intentionally to mislead people. That's the way marketing works. They announce these things 2 years in advance so you can start dreaming about all the optimized
pre-ordering
ideas you could possibly have. Get that seed planted deep in your persona so you'll be literally identifying with this product 2 years later when it comes out or doesn't.
Yeah.
And the pre-orders will they'll have all this time to work on you to get you to break and pre-order the thing. To make a money down payment on a thing you don't know if you like yet.
That's what I'm saying. With this backlash for this game, with that, doesn't it show that maybe that's not the optimal strategy anymore? I know it's always
It never has been.
I mean, back in the day it was, I think.
The problem is like again, it's like the 50th time we've seen this same cycle happen, and until like. If it ever happens, consumers say like, all right, that's the last one. Like No Man's Sky is like the last pre-order. Then I think we would see a change. But as long as people are like, wow, No Man's Sky sucks, but like I'm looking ahead a year to, Death Stranding, and I'm going to pre-order that sight on Steam because I like Hideo Kojima.
No Man's
or
Sky
something.
failed, but I'm gonna buy that $200 Star Citizen ship.
Hell yeah, man. I'm
Vote
all
with
about
your
that
wallets.
$75,000 1,000 ship pack, yo. That's my jam.
Vote with your wallets, people. Vote with your wallets.
Correct.
I agree with you, Rob, and I think that there is actually a shift being made. Like Bethesda, I think, is at the front of this, where they didn't hype Fallout 4 beforehand, like you said, and they're also taking a very reserved approach to Elder Scrolls 6. They've gone on record saying that they're not going to even announce whether or not it's happening until they're pretty far into development, if not like nearly done with the game. So I think Bethesda's doing this. I think indies are starting to take notice too. Like Below, for example. I think a few of us have already played Below at a couple of PAXs before. But those developers made a pretty extensive post pretty recently saying that the game is not done and they're not even going to give a release date. They're saying we're just going to keep working on it until it's done, and then we'll let you guys know when we're happy with it. So those are two very specific examples, obviously, but I think that people are going to be taking note, especially of No Man's Sky's whole debacle now, and try to be a little bit better at, offering what they have as opposed to offering what people want.
Yeah, I love the current meme right now is going back to old trailers for the game and saying, "Hey, this is a cool game. When's it come out?" Looks really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Do you really believe they're going to take a pro-consumer approach to marketing because of this debacle? No, of course not. Every company is still going to market off the same not true setup. They've used this paradigm for like years now.
I wonder if I would even view it as pro-consumer if the good PR and like the value of establishing trust is worthy of consideration from a corporate perspective, Like, I think Sin made a valid point in that Hello Games has lost future credibility despite making millions of dollars. There's a trade-off you got to make there.
People have very short memories. All you need to do is look at Assassin's Creed. They still sell very well despite how broken they keep being.
Didn't
Well, I
Syndicate
mean,
not
apparently
sell that well at all, though?
Apparently, nobody bought
Yeah.
Battleborn because of Aliens, Colonial Marines, right? So I guess they have pretty long memories after all.
I don't know, like
It's subjective. It
Yeah,
depends.
yeah.
People have brought up like Peter Molyneux, but his reputation eventually caused him to eat shit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it took longer than people would expect for it to like turn the corner, but like Fable, they promised the world. It came out and people were like, it's still pretty good. It's not what was promised. And then like repeat that for all the Fable games. It wasn't until he royally kind of fucked up with Curiosity and Goddess and then spinning that out into Goddess Wars that people were like he's a persona non grata anymore. Like we don't want to even deal with him in the industry. So I mean, I think that they have shot themselves in the foot to some extent. But again, I actually, with it in mind that I think they did willfully, did they mislead consumers? Maybe that's strong for me
We'll never
personally.
know.
It's
I think
impossible to know.
I think they allowed consumers to be misled. And I don't think there's any debate over that.
Mhm.
However, I feel bad for them because, you know, this is their project that they've slaved over for like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And they did promise the world. And then when it came out, people were like, you kind of fucked it up. So like, that's got to really suck to dedicate your life to like your passion project. And then when it comes out, the story isn't even about the game. It's about the game that you promised that ended up not existing. So, I mean, there is something to be said for them being able to like literally build a house out of money. I mean, that's definitely a trade-off. You're
I don't
probably
think they're
better
losing
off.
much sleep right now on top of their.
I bet they are, man.
I
I bet if I worked at Hello Games, I would be torn up right now.
I think they're
'Cause,
losing
like-
sleep over the fact that they're up 24 hours making patches for the PC version, more than likely, too.
Yeah. I would be losing sleep all the time. People, I don't think that at this level of like development, and you know, it really seems like, believe it or not, but however you feel about the game, Sean in particular like loved this project. So to have it come out and be really poorly received, I bet that, you know, he would trade it away. He'd trade away some of that money to get a positive reception and feel better about it.
Yeah.
Hello Games needs to find Richard Garriott and resurrect Lord British and have him come back and re-release No Man's
Richard
Sky.
Garriott's working on Shadows of the Avatar right now. All right.
He needs to make Tabula Rasa too, man. Just turn No Man's Sky into that. We're fine.
I would take
You know,
that any day.
my least favorite part of all of this is that at the end of the day, I actually still kind of like No Man's Sky. Like the game that we got, I've been playing it. Like it's fun. It's very shallow. The critiques that I've read of it, I mostly agree with, and I find myself, you know, having some complaints as I go. But like, it's fun. I enjoy it well enough. So it's just unfortunate that all this kerfuffle has to surround it now. But it is also definitely worth pointing out all of this, you know, sort of misleading advertising at the same time.
I would say I would play the game if it was not $60. If it was $20, I probably would be picking it up and probably pour, you know, 5 to 10 hours in it just as a kind of relaxed, chill, like like Nick does. I really enjoy watching Nick's late night No Man's Sky stream because that's what I feel like the game is good for. What it's not good for is thinking it's an online persistent world and there's all these systems that are working up in the background that you just have to uncover and kind of get more involved with. So if at $60, absolutely not. $20 I think would be the absolute max. Like $19.99, I would probably check out the game and not play it a whole lot, but like I said, 5 to 10 hours is a kind of chill out, you know, sort of in the Minecraft vein.
So keep that nugget in your mind for about 20 minutes from now when we've got Ask Roundtable going.
Yeah.
Got it.
The very last thing I want to say is that this might be like super inside of my own asshole, and that's okay. I'm still going to share it.
That's okay. Says you. Says
Hold
who?
on, just that sentence, man.
One thought that has, through all of this noise of the No Man's Sky pre-release hype and then release and, you know, first the dude bought the copy and is it good? No, fuck user / Damien, like he's all bullshit, oh, blah, blah, blah. Throughout all of this, I had like my moment where like the Red Sea of noise was parted and it was just like the god of video games stood in front of me and was like, hey, people mostly like make video games so that people have fun with them. Like they're trying to make like fun products.
The part in the god of video games is all found deep inside your asshole.
this extremely complicated. Did they lie to consumers? Didn't they? Blah blah blah. I just had this moment. I was like, people make video games to make money, admittedly, yes, but also at the same time just to try to create like a fun product. I'm not trying to conflate this by saying that they're developing it selflessly, but rather I'm like, when did it all become so complicated? It sucks that we can't just be like, is this game fun? Isn't it fun? Is it fun at this price point? Should you wait for it in a sale? Should you wait for post-release support? Did they lie to consumers? Should Sean Murray be in jail right now? Ooh, the men in black at Sony, were they like pulling the strings like marionette?
But to that point, though, it's like if you're saying all video games are made just for fun, then why is anything ever priced at anything then? Like there's an argument to be made saying that there are certain price points you can put on fun. If you have a bad game that you're not willing to play for any round of money, it doesn't matter if it's free or not. But you have a game that looks somewhat entertaining of someone's vision that would be considered fun for them, but you would say, hey, there's a financial point to actually make to say, like, I'm limited. I would like to experience the fun that you're trying to give me, but not at the price that you're trying to make money off of.
I gotta put a hard stop on that because this is literally our Ask Roundtable subject. Okay. So I'm gonna force you to hold off on that for just a bit. We got a couple more things though. Hold on. But yeah, I think that's hopefully the last we're gonna see of No Man's Sky on this show. But again, I do want to say that I've been enjoying my time with it for what it's worth. So there you go. All right. Let's talk about a different video game real quick. Let's talk about Okhlos. And, Mathis, if your cat's okay.
She's just having a conversation with me right now.
Sure, yeah. What did you think of Okhlos?
Cat people, I can't understand.
Okhlos is great. Okhlos, I enjoy a lot. What Okhlos is kind of like this, basically the idea is you're controlling a mob taking down Greek gods because they're tired of the Greek gods' shit. And it controls and plays kind of like a chaotic Pikmin, in a weird way, where you just have this mob and you're picking up soldiers and having them join the mob, and each type of unit has special abilities. So like certain soldiers give you more attack, certain give you more defense. You can pick up slaves, and what they'll do is they'll like carry things like health buffs and bombs, and there's all kinds of fun stuff. And you're just going through each level, killing all the enemies, and then destroying the god at the end of the level. And it's chaotic, it's nonsense, it's hilarious. It's actually really pretty, and it's a lot of fun. I like it.
The pretty comment surprises me, actually.
I like the art. I like the pixel art. I think it looks good. Ryan, what about you, friend?
Yeah, like I actually at first, every time I've seen it at conventions, I've been like, this looks like not my scene. But when I actually played it, the first half hour, I was like, I think this might be like kind of bad. And then after that, I started to get into it, and I was like, this is it is a roguelite in many ways.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And I kind of like it, but I do find it inelegant, if that makes sense. Like
inelegance is part of the game, though, isn't it?
Yes, I don't mean it as necessarily a negative, but for me, it's a negative. Where like Spelunky is so elegant, like everything is communicated in the language. You have like 100% control over basically everything if you can see it like coming. Whereas with Okhlos, like it's very coarse. You're like, send your mob here, have them attack. You're not controlling each of their individual attacks. You're not controlling each of their individual defenses. You're going to end up, accidentally blowing up TNT barrels and eating poison meat and stuff like that. Like, it's just actually impossible to have 100% degree of control. I didn't mean to say impossible, but I think overall, like, it's actually a lot more fun than it originally looks. And it's got a lot more depth than it originally looks like it has as well, with the ability to kind of, like, choose which heroes you buy. You're basically going to shops and buying items as you play, and it ends up being a more engaging experience than I expected. And the boss fights are really cool.
Yeah. The only complaint I had with it so far is this one level. It's early on, and the whole, like, there's this whole section of the level that's just grids of spikes that keep shooting up.
Oh, yeah. That's the third level.
It is near impossible to avoid them because your mob just kind of like goes in the direction they put your mouse, but they all just are constantly moving.
I think I happen to be watching you on your channel play through this right now, conveniently enough.
Yeah,
it's obnoxious. That part was obnoxious. I was just like, well, there's nothing I can do. There's just spikes everywhere. There are enemies everywhere. I'm like, they're just going to get attacked, and there's
You
nothing
have to
can
learn to let go there because you're
Yeah,
like,
you do. You're like, just get through this
you
part
can't get
fast.
them all off.
No,
There's
you-
no way to get them all off.
At that point, it was I hit this mentality of like, just get through this section as fast as you can because there's nothing I can do.
Can't get them all off.
The frantic Mathis is my favorite Mathis. Which is just chaos happening, and Mathis is going just crazy on everything. It's great.
Mhm.
Can't do anything. You can't do anything about it. But I really am enjoying it.
My like end take home from Okhlos is like, it's not. I don't consider it like in the upper echelon of roguelites that I would spend like 500 hours with, or even like 50 hours with. Which is weird that sounds like an insult to say like I wouldn't spend 50 hours in this $10 game. But I appreciate that what it does is not just be Isaac but worse, or Spelunky but worse, because there's a lot of like Isaacs but worse, and there's a few Spelunkys but worse, and this is just like it's its own thing. And I think that novelty sustains it more than a lot of other roguelites actually manage by just being, I don't want to say cheap imitators, but by being imitators in general. But yeah, I don't think it's like an A, but I think it's like a B minus, B somewhere in there. It seems
I'm
pretty
with
good.
you there. I'm
The
with you there.
gameplay seems particularly unique. Like, I'm trying to think of the closest thing to this that I've played
Wonderful
before.
101.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay,
like
yeah.
Pikmin Wonderful 101.
Yeah, I
It's
would say
like a
Pikmin.
Pikmin cross with God of War, though, which is a very interesting take.
The like theming of the game is very strong, actually. Like, it's not just like, hey, we set it in ancient Greece. Like, it's steeped in Greek mythology and actual like ancient Greek history,
That's
which is
awesome.
cool. Like, all of the heroes that you buy are mythical or actual like figures from Greek history.
I like
I don't.
Oedipus gives you a morale bonus. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
I can appreciate that sort of thing.
So it's definitely like it's made with love for the source material while still having like a quirky charm all to itself.
I'm
Cool.
down for more Pikmin likes, dude. I love
Mhm.
Pikmin. Pikmin's great.
Pikmin likes. I like it, Rob.
Yeah, it's a new genre. I'm ready.
Pikmin likes.
Good to hear. All right. Well, Okhlos came out yesterday. It's currently 10% off, $11.69 normal price, $12.99 on Steam.
By
Sounds
the
like
way,
a-
big ups to the Okhlos guys for working on their game for 3 years and then us giving it 1/20th of the time that we gave to the release of No Man's Sky.
Well, they don't have a juicy advertising story to gossip about for 30 minutes.
18 quintillion gods to kill. Procedurally generated Greek gods.
You want us to talk about your game? Maybe lie to us.
I don't know, man. I think they prefer to be the subject of 5 minutes of praise rather than 30 minutes of controversy, don't you? Yeah. All right, Okhlos is $13 on Steam right now. This is The Police. Not me right here, but this is the game we're talking about right now. Sin, you played this, right?
It's the police. Whoop.
No, I did not. I
Oh,
said I
okay.
was watching. I watched
Oh, that's
Ryan
right.
and I watched Ryan play it. So
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
Ryan can
defer to him.
definitely talk about this one then.
Yeah, so This is the Police is a adventure / strategy management game, which puts you in the role of a police chief of a fictional American town in like the late 50s, early 1960s. And basically, you've been given 180 days left on the job, and then you're going to be forced out by a corrupt mayor. And your goal over those 180 days is to tailor your own story. Like, do you want to work with the mob and kind of pad your own retirement fund so that your own life is easier? Or do you want to do things by the book and, like, really do things for the good of the city, even though it'll probably make, day-to-day operations harder? And, City Hall is going to be mad at you for not working with the mob to help out, with their pet projects and stuff like that. So half of the game is this, like, there's crimes that show up on the map, and you send police officers out, and then the police officers have, like, an FTL-style chance to succeed or fail, and then they gain experience, and you kind of manage that side. And then the other half of the game is John St. John with, like, really hammy noir dialogue.
Oh, Duke Nukem guy.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Axe from
Yeah,
Axe
they
from
got
Dota
him,
2
yeah.
as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's got voice talent behind it for sure, but a lot of, like, Telltale style, like, you don't actually exert direct control, but every once in a while there'll be a decision that you can make. Like, this is a mild spoiler for the very, like, first half hour of the game or so, but, like, your former deputy was working with the mob, but now he wants to run away, and they found out. You can either help him by, like, sneaking him out of the town, or you can let him die, basically by not offering him any help. And if you don't help him, then you see like him and his family's heads like draped from a ceiling
Oh,
fan.
spoilers!
Yeah.
You ruined the entire game for us now.
Well,
I don't even care about this game anymore.
So like there's elements of that do have decisions on the gameplay, or they have impact on the gameplay. But in general, I kind of think that the management stuff is cool, but there's not enough of it, and the narrative stuff is like way over the top in my opinion. Like in the first, as Rob was pointing out, before you start the game, you watch a 5-minute cutscene, and then it finishes, and you're at the main menu, and then you click New Game, and it plays a new, like, 5 to 10-minute cutscene to set the story. And, like, eventually I was just like, can I get to the point where I can actually, like, like, get to
play the game?
some influence? Because, like, I could watch Chinatown. Like, I'm not trying to insult the developers, but, you know, at some point, you gotta, like, earn that attention, I guess. And the actual like mechanics from a strategy standpoint I think are really good, but you know, just because it's John St. John reading the lines, I'm like, I don't want to listen to half an hour of this in the first hour. Like that's just too much for me to hold my attention. So
needs healing.
If he was doing that, I would be more interested.
That's kind of like in what I played of it. Like that's kind of where I kind of fell on it too. Is like the management is cool. I mean, I'm biased. I'm a sucker for management games, and this is cool. I mean, this is a cool thing to do. You know, managing police things, and you know, it's like events pop up, and it's like, oh, you get to choose who you send out and shit, and you level them up. All that stuff is cool, but it's like. It seems like it doesn't know what genre it is a little bit, like in a way, and it's hard to say because I mean I actually don't think that the cutscenes are bad, and I actually really like the aesthetic theme, and I like all that stuff. I think it's good. It's just like it's a little too dense for me, who I want to play the management stuff, and I could do that for like 50 hours. Just that. I don't need the other stuff, and I don't know. I don't know how to really separate that in my mind. Is like I still like it. I still like that stuff, but I'd kind of rather play this stuff, especially since like the trailers for the game too kind of really just show off more the management than anything else. You didn't know going in it's gonna be like 20 minutes of cutscenes.
You know what you should do? You should make a Reddit post comparing to where the trailer said you were going to get something and then didn't, Rob.
Yeah.
I also think like where it fails for me is kind of in what you've elicited here. This idea that it already has emergent gameplay in the way that you manage your police force. Like they have names. You can fire them if they get too old, or if they're bad at their job, or if they show up drunk and stuff like that. So it already has like an emergent story that you create for yourself, almost in the same way that you do in RimWorld. But then after the emergent stuff takes place, there's like cutscenes that are like, here's what actually happens, though.
Are those police officers randomly generated, or are they the same every time you play?
I'm not sure actually, but I imagine they might be the same but with different names because. Okay. Like I started with one police officer who was like 3 times as good as an average officer, and I have to imagine that I probably didn't just get like a 1 in 100 dice roll to get super cop. Probably like every game probably starts with somebody roughly at that level. But for me personally, it's like you can't double dip and like have the emergent gameplay while at the same time being like, let's tell my own story here. And like I can't be interested in both of them. It's like if in RimWorld you crafted your own story and then they were like, and then an escape pod came down from the sky. Out of it came Zap Brannigan, and now he's the leader of your colony. You'd be like, no, Sandoval is the leader of the colony.
That's not the story I made.
Exactly. Yeah. He's done like 20 successful police missions in a row. He's the super cop.
Yeah. All right.
It's cool though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. Ambitious, and I think that it deserves a little recognition for that, and a lot of people were really into it. Like I saw in the comments of my video and also on Steam, some people were like, I'm not really feeling it the same way that Rob and I aren't, and some people were like, this story is like, it affected me on an emotional level, and I'm like, that's cool. It's not for everybody, but, and I kind of agree with Rob, where I'm like, could you remaster this, but actually like demaster it and just cut the story out and give me that police stuff, and I would be like, I'd be into it. But
play RimWorld, man.
It's not even poorly written either. It's like it's pretty well written, I think.
No, I think so too. It's just too much.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, especially the first week, they give you a cutscene at the end of every day. So you're like, okay, 10 minutes of managing the police force, and then 5 minutes of like, where I really was pissed off when my wife left me. And you're like, dude, I get it. Like, it sucks. Yeah. It's really shitty, but I really just want to manage my cops. This one cop, I've gotten him from 60 to 110 prestige, and he could become an average officer as early as tomorrow if I play my cards right. I don't give a shit about your like personal issues that are extremely serious. I need to get this arbitrary police officer to the level where I can give them a promotion.
I actually think a good thing to liken this to is XCOM: Enemy Unknown. I saw an interview with Jake Solomon once where he said, you know, like, one of the things that was a delicate balance for us was managing the player's time. You know, the thing that people really wanted to do in XCOM, or the thing that's the most fun to do for people in XCOM, is, you know, getting on the tactical map and shooting aliens and doing that stuff. And so, like, we really had to balance the game around, you know, you should only be spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time in the strategic mode, and then, you know, an hour in the tactical mode, because that's what people want. You know, and I think they kind of went 50-50 instead of like 90-10, I think, is what it should have been. But
especially with the campaign being 180 missions long.
Yeah.
I was like, by day 7, I was like, no chance.
Yeah.
Even if they only do one cutscene like a month from this point out, like, you've already kind of poisoned the well. Or I'm like, man, that's a lot.
Yeah. Could be for some people, though, I think.
I think I'm still going to check it out. I'm curious enough in it.
Yeah, I think it's novel. Like, it's kind of similar to Okhlos in that at least you're not playing just like a game for which there is a superior version out there.
Sure.
Like, it's definitely its own unique thing. It's a little similar to Papers, Please, but not enough so that, like, by playing Papers, Please, you've already played a better This Is the Police.
I love me some Papers, Please. That was a staple of my library. I love that game.
Mm-hmm. What was the?
I'm also an extremely boring individual.
He's good, man.
What was the other Papers, Please like that we were talking about pretty recently?
There's another one?
Or the Westport Independent.
That's it, the Westport Independent. Yeah,
that
was
apparently
actually just a worse Papers, Please.
I've never heard of it. I gotta check it out if it's.
No, don't check that out because that game is mediocre at best. Check out a game that's similar to Papers, Please in mechanics. It's called Valhalla. It's you play as like a futuristic bartender.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, I've done that for 14 years. I know.
Exactly.
I know how to bartend.
Hey, you mean I hear you, man. No, yeah. Apparently, it's really good and it's worth playing.
Neat.
I'll check it out. I also really like just completely random, but 6v9 was a lot of fun. Who won yesterday?
Ooh,
Nick?
yeah. I was gonna give
I
him
don't
that
even
point.
remember anymore. I was enjoying the game, but I don't pay super close attention to who's the victor for each night. I didn't know we were actually going to talk about that.
Well, we were. I was gonna give you a little shout out at the end there.
I meant to just bring it. Sorry, I didn't know that
that's
there
cool.
was a plan.
Let me wrap up. This is the Police real quick by saying it's $15 on Steam, available now. 6v9 is the new Twitch craze, hitting the nation by storm.
Yeah.
It's pretty great, honestly. Like I say that
really
kind
is.
of sillily, but that is it's real fun, man.
It's sort of an in-joke in that, like, we're pretending it's a serious esport, but it's just freaking dots, basically. So what happened with 6v9, if you're not familiar, is one Mr. Bean, Michael Molinari, the guy who made Choice Chamber, he's real good at doing, like, chat interaction stuff with Twitch, so he made this thing called Beanbox as a sort of a gift to give his Twitch subscribers, and it's got a whole suite of different things that Twitch streamers can use to interact with their chat. And I see you guys are spamming your Doritos chips.
Yeah,
right now,
man.
so.
Yeah.
Where are my nudists at, though? Where I need my nudists?
So I was just kind of playing around with that. I thought I would use the palette option as a way to let the chat sort of draw over my logo while we're waiting for the stream to start. And somewhere in that, and I've got to go back and find exactly when it happened, but we decided, wouldn't it be fun if you just tried to make like a single horizontal line and then chat tries to interrupt you? And turns out that was a surprisingly balanced little game to make. And we didn't know it at the time, but we played a few rounds of it. We started commentating over it like it was a serious esport, had a really good time playing it, and then ended up talking to one Mr. Bean a bunch of times, and he's sort of been like adapting the Beanbox to fit the constraints of this game. So every day he's been giving me new builds with more features to it. So now the game will actually stop when a horizontal line happens automatically. I can select what colors will make the game stop. I can there's animations, there's a flashing line now when it finishes. Like, it actually looks legit. So I made this really nice like screen region for it, and people have been playing every night. We've developed a sort of a little silly culture about the thing. I've been trying to keep it going as like a every night at midnight kind of game. And there's a subreddit. People are going on the Reddit r/6v9. There's Discord channels that it opens so people
are
can
getting into it, man. It's great.
There's
Yeah.
espionage.
Yeah.
I learned last night.
Oh,
There's
yeah, that was
espionage.
great.
Yeah.
There's
Ugh.
spies in each Discord. I mean, the 6 and the 9 came from the numbers orange and blue corresponding to the palette. It's not like it was just like we wanted to make a silly sex joke, but it happened to line up really nicely, so why not?
And to correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't mean to speak for Nick, but I believe you guys did that with the intention of because it is better for colorblind people.
Yeah,
So-
we started
So it
with
just worked
red
out that
versus
way.
green,
Yeah.
and orange and blue were better for color blindness. And we've been playing with the idea of having neutral colors as well, and how that affects the game. Sort of experimenting and testing what's the most fun. And the game's been getting revised every night, and I feel like it's going in a good direction. I've been having a blast with it, and ultimately that's been like my week. Ultimately, just playing lots of 6v9 and
Dude,
Yeah.
obsessing over making it the best game it can be, for as silly as that is.
It's the perfect concept for any game. You take a very, very simple concept, and what creates it as fun is the all the other notions that come out, like, hey, it's just this is how you win. You draw a line. But then, with all the constraints that you add in there and you make it into competition, I want to cast more of it. I want to like play and stuff. I mean, it is the perfect notion to have a successful game. You have something that is very simple. There's no mastery to speak of. It's very, very balanced, and it's also surprisingly, especially with the animations, the pinging animations now. I mean, it's like a war. Like we were showing, hey, like bottom is being counterattacked right now by orange, and you can see like we've got battles, flaring up all over the place. I mean, it is the quintessential. The simple game is sometimes the most fun concept of a game, and. It's. I think that you got something that you should definitely continue to run with, and I'm looking forward to helping out with the project too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's tug of war essentially, and I think it kind of plays to some of the strengths of Twitch, where you actually have to kind of pay attention to chat flying by because it's got the 10-second delay. So you need to try and watch and memorize what people are throwing down in chat to then try to counterattack with it, and you're coordinating with other people at the same time. So I mean. It's kind of something for everybody. Even if you don't want to play on orange or blue, you can still just kind of be a troll and mess with people. So whether you want to have fun or not, or join in the actual battle, you can still do something. So
Hell
I
yeah.
like it.
If I may say, I think it may well be the greatest game ever made. Probably.
Wow, thanks.
It's
That's
possible. Yeah.
a pretty big compliment.
18 quintillion different types of colors that you can win with.
6v9 is not on Steam, but you can play for free over on twitch.tv/RockmanSmile.
Tonight.
Somebody actually said to me, like, it's bizarre that No Man's Sky costs $60 and I'm having more fun making a line on Twitch chat.
Exactly to my point. Sometimes the simple
All right.
notion is the most fun.
And that's Roundtable.
Segue. No, here we go. Finally, we can segue into this. It's time for everybody's favorite segment. It's Ask Roundtable. You can send your questions into roundtableyt@gmail.com. Every week we do our best to answer one. Today's question comes from Dan Gheesling. Not really Dan Gheesling, but a guy named Dan. Dan asks...
Are we that desperate?
No. No, not even close. Dan, let me actually read the email verbatim here. Hello, what are some factors you all consider when determining the value of a game? With No Man's Sky's recent release, a lot of talk surrounding it has been about it being an indie game with a AAA price tag but not delivering on the content. I was wondering what you think a game has to have in order to be worth the $60 asking price. Do we overvalue AAA in general? What indie games have you played that gave you the most bang for your buck? And are there any that felt like they were worthy of having a AAA price? He also issued a request for the Nick's Weird Games theme song, Ryan, so I'll give you a little bit of a preface for this one. He's requesting the one-hit wonder from Marcy's Playground, 1997 hit single, Sex and Candy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
There you go. So, boiled down to brass tacks, what are some factors you all consider when determining the value of a game? And I know Sinvicta was going off on something earlier here, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor real quick.
Really, what it comes down to is, am I having fun with doing the gameplay loop? Is this a fulfilling experience that I would maybe not necessarily share with other people if I didn't have to, but I would if it came up in casual conversation? I mean, is the game? Do I feel like I'm actually having an impact in the game in sort of a meaningful way, and is it reciprocated? Like, is it fun, or is at least it challenging, or that sort of thing? I think at $60, I would probably argue at this point, you're going to be hard pressed to sell me a $60 game if it's not made by Blizzard, pretty much. And like how I value it is it goes into time spent sometimes, but I always bring up. I talked with Force about this a while ago when the Division first came out. The Division was like completely, long story short. I was not planning on playing the Division. I bought it full price. I played it for maybe about 10 hours, and I was satisfied. I quit the game. I uninstalled it. I said that was fun. It was a $60 game. I feel that I'm satisfied with it. I got to see everything that I really wanted to, and I don't see a reason to go back. It's sometimes games just do that for me personally, anyway. Then you look at other games that like perennial favorites like Isaac or even Darkest Dungeon, like we were talking about. It's that I value that the amount of reciprocated fun that I get from the inputs that I do in the game is worth far more than they charge for the game, for sure. I would probably buy Darkest Dungeon if it were $60, knowing what I know about the game now.
Right.
But concurrently, if we go back a couple of weeks ago, talking about Necropolis, I would not buy that game for the $30 that it was sold for. I would probably check it out at $10. But what determines that is basically, am I having fun with this game for the amount of time that I've already put into it? You can't really expect to know how much fun you're going to have until you play it. Which back in the day we all had demos to play with, so we had a little bit of a standpoint to go off of. But that, for me personally, that's how it is. $60 is a mighty big pill to swallow at this point for a lot of games, for me anyway. I mean,
I think for everybody really.
Yeah, Blizzard. Pretty much the only company that gets a pass for me is Blizzard, just because I love all the games except Hearthstone, and I'd play most of all of them.
Mathis, what do you think?
It's a tough question to answer because I think we all are going to be very similar in that we all play such a wide variety of different games to really nail down what makes it worth my asking price. It really boils down to, like Sinvicta said, is am I having fun playing the game, which is like the most boring answer you could possibly ask.
What a loser coming up with that answer.
Yeah, fuck you, Sinvicta.
Thanks.
That's not what I meant.
Remember that time a long time ago I said I love Mathis?
Konami.
I remember you comparing him to Konami. Yeah, I think you had to get back to that one.
It's been validated. I have now been validated.
But it's tough because I would have paid a ton more for like Isaac. I've put hundreds of dollars, maybe more, into like World of Warcraft, and I think I've gotten my money's worth, and I'm dipping back into that well again, and have been again for a while. And it just depends. Like, it's so hard because I play so many different types of games to really nail down what makes it worth it for me. It's hard to answer.
Sure. Ryan, I don't want to interrupt you writing down the lyrics to Marcy.
It's already done. It's already done.
What do you think?
So, I don't know. This one, it tends to be kind of like a circle jerky discussion, I think. But it's very convenient for me to come in and be anti-consumer, as always, and point out that I really don't think $60 is too expensive for AAA games, because we've been paying $60 for games since, like, the year 1998. There was, like, a brief period where they were $50, and then they went up $10 again. But if you compare it with what we were paying for games back when I was a kid, they're actually like as cheap as they've ever been, maybe even cheaper.
They were
especially
so expensive back in the day.
$80, $100.
Yeah.
$75 for an NES cart, man.
Yeah, so like I think it's actually a good thing. That being said, what makes a game worth $60? What makes a game worth $15? I don't really know if that discussion is for if that discussion is as for consumers as it may originally seem. Like, the perception is always that, they're charging $60 for this, like that dev is trying to rip people off. I think if you ever have to say that, then it becomes more of like it's just not the right place to position the game at. Like, I guarantee you, people are saying like I would have paid $60 for Crusader Kings because I got like 400 hours out of it. Sure, I mean I get that, but if they came out with it at $60, you probably never would have played it to begin with, and you never would have told your friends about it.
Right,
so,
right.
I mean, I kind of said that with you can't
Dungeon,
really you can't really expect to know how much fun you're going to have until you play it, which is why demos, rest in peace. That was a great thing that we had back in the early 40s.
Yeah, well, now we have E3 footage. Isn't that better?
Yeah, trailers,
Right.
pre-rendered cutscenes.
My expectation is for a $60 game to not get the should this be $60 argument is basically Does it have like comparable assets to other AAA games? And if it's a single player game, is the campaign like, I don't know, 8 to 12 hours long, 6 to 8 hours long, somewhere in that vicinity at least? If it's like the Order 1886 level where you're like, this shit is 4 hours long, I can see the discussion.
Heavenly Sword.
Also, yeah. But I mean, for the most part, I think it ends up. Even if a game is bad at $60, I disagree with the premise that if you made it like 15, it would be good. But different people have different opinions about that.
Nick, how do you feel?
It's a very complex one for me because I think maybe more than even most of you guys, I'm incredibly open to it being a very subjective interpretation. Games that a lot of people think are not worth the money, I kind of do think are worth the money sometimes. Abzu, I'm totally fine with costing $20. Gone Home, totally fine with costing $20. The Witness, I'm totally happy with having paid $40 for it. Although I don't remember if I paid for it or if they gave me a press code. They may have given me a press code. I think they probably gave me a press code. Regardless, I would have paid $40 for it and not been upset about it. There's this really awful fallacy of this dollars to hours value exchange that I really don't like seeing because it really diminishes the point of gameplay, which is to take away an experience or have a memory, have a fun time sometimes. It's literally that simple. Be stimulated by something. Think about something you've never thought about before. Put yourself in a perspective or a role you've never entertained the idea of.
Sure.
And monster. To just diminish it down to like, oh, well, I only got 6 hours of fun out of this $30 game, so it wasn't worth it. Well, what did you do? Did you enjoy the game? Is this all it is to you? It's just a transaction? Like, it doesn't feel like you're being honest with what you actually did with your time then if that's all you're seeing. Or you're just not having enough fun to suspend that that's what you're focused on, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the whole thing about, well, should Isaac be more expensive because I got 500 hours of it? I don't know. I don't think I'd be upset if it was more expensive. I guess I'm glad it was cheap, but also I wouldn't have had a problem supporting Edmund more if it was more expensive. It's all just each developer picks a target, they shoot for it, some things land, some things don't land. There isn't a right and a wrong that is something you can outline with a set of rules that are able to be written down. It depends on the project, it depends on the culture at the time, it depends on the developer, it depends on their ambition. All of this is just a moving target. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. And, we can judge this stuff after the fact. We can't always call it beforehand.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand on it.
Rob, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I think there is some value in saying, like, I paid $60 for this game. I got 10 hours of whatever out of it. I think there's some value in that. And for the most part, that's how I kind of feel about certain things. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, I could pay $20 for a game that's, an hour, 2 hour experience. I've done it like, for a bunch of games, actually. There's like an hour, 2 hour experience, and I'm not upset by it. I mean, I if you do the dollar to hour transition or the currency exchange there.
Somebody's got that calculator online somewhere, right? Of the dollars to hours enjoyed.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. but if I come away with an experience and I enjoyed it and I had a good time, then I don't mind if I paid money for it. And then conversely, I mean, there are some things where I'm I guess where I fall on more is that I feel like I've gotten more value out of something that I didn't expect at that price point to give me that many hours of enjoyment. Actually Crusader Kings comes to mind, where I actually have sunk a lot of money into that game. I mean, I bought pretty much all the DLC in it, and that's that's like $150 or something like that.
Damn.
I mean, I didn't know
that much.
Yeah, well, there's
what
a lot.
Nerd.
Yeah, I mean, like half of it I got for free from Paradox, but when sometimes when it's just like I don't feel like emailing them, I'll just pay $15 for it. But
when your threshold is I don't feel like writing an email, I'd rather spend $15.
That was the most Robbiest thing that ever been said.
Like sometimes, because like the thing is, it's not even just writing the email. It's like, oh man, I really want to play this, because I want to play this, and I'd have to wait like a day for the thing to come in. Yeah, like I need
bored, and it's
I gotta wait.
Dude, I've been there.
Likes getting mugged.
with like the do distribute or like the evolve terminal stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it's like a Friday at 11 p.m. If I submit a request, I won't get the game until like Monday at 9 at the earliest.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just buy it instead.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
and you know that's the thing. And it's with like CK2, even though I've sunk a lot of money, I got like 500 hours out of that game, you know.
Mhm.
And honestly, I played it as recently as like 2 days ago. So I mean, like I still play the shit out of that game. I love that game.
pretty
So
great.
you know, and
Yeah.
you know, it's something similar too with like some games are not good games, but I get a lot of hours of entertainment out
See,
of it.
this is why we
and-
bring you on the show, man. For zingers like that. Some games aren't good games. Thank you,
Yeah,
AlpacaPatrol.
exactly, That's very profound. No, but like Dragon Ball Xenoverse, I paid $60 for that. I got like 100 hours out of it, but I mean, even if I got like 20, I'd have been fine with it, dude. Like, I love that
Ryan's
game.
face.
You played
Yeah.
Xenoverse for 100 hours?
Yeah, dude. And actually, Twitch chat fucking loved when I played that too, which is great. I can't wait to play the second one.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
No, I
It's bad.
I really
Oh,
thought it was a
really?
pretty bad game, actually.
Oh, man.
You
Oh,
know,
it's pretty
you know
bad
that
game, but I
you know
love
that me and Rob, are not the same person because Rob reaches notes and octaves that I can just simply physically cannot hit. When Rob gets excited, man, he hits those notes that he's a tenor. He's a straight up tenor, man. I can't do it. I can't do
No.
it.
And yeah, I am excited about the. Someone in chat asked. I am excited about the new CK2 DLC that they're coming out with next week. You get to torture people. Fuck yeah! But you know, I don't think value is necessarily derived from hours, but I think it is a factor.
Sure. All right, cool. That was a great Ask Roundtable segment. Thanks, Dan, for the question. If you got a question similar to Dan's or completely different from Dan's, go ahead and send that over to roundtableyt@gmail.com. You may very well be featured in every weekly segment of Ask Roundtable. And we got time for everybody's favorite segment after their favorite segment. It's Nick's Weird Games, also brought to you by Dan. Thanks for the theme song recommendation. You know what? That's a good idea. If you've got an Ask Roundtable question, definitely suggest some good Nick's Weird Game theme songs, too. That's a good plan.
Having
No
a brief
informer.
moment in the oven was
Yeah.
like extremely helpful.
Is that what you're doing? Light writing down lyrics?
He really
It's
was.
already
I'm
done.
sure, yeah.
That's what you did. All
He
right.
almost immediately took out that notepad. He was
I'm gonna hang on. I'm hiding
It's
chat.
time for Nick's Weird Games, the weekly segment where Nick picks a weird game from his catalog of weird games. We try to do our best to guess what it is. And let's go ahead and start off.
This
I'm gonna get
to
my
the
weird
tune
game
of
out.
Yeah, do it.
it's to the tune of Sex and Candy by Marcy's Playground. And I'm gonna call this one Sega Koei. Hanging out, playing a weird game, and it's from 2002. Semicolons in its name, and there it was. In a Walmart bargain bin, yes, there it was. 3.1 from IGN. Dun, 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 dun. It's another Nick's Weird Game. Publisher shut down in shame. Just what system do you even play this fucking game on, mama? It's surely PS2. Dig it. Yeah, mama, it must be PS2.
Yes.
Man, wow.
Beautiful, man.
That
Tell
was,
me, you got like verse 2 down there too, don't you?
No,
Yeah,
I did one verse, one chorus.
Okay. All right.
yeah. The chorus is
Oh,
pretty good.
man.
Here we go.
Thank you for
God
keeping the
damn.
quality very high. Everyone hide your
Yeah.
chats, please.
Nah, chats are gone.
All right. I got a weird game for you. He was close on the year, a little off.
Mhm.
This game is from 2003, which he alternates. Sometimes he says 2003.
Yeah.
All right. So
This is the
today's
Pinnacle
game,
gaming year, by the way.
Yeah.
it was a big one. It was the year I graduated high school.
Nice.
It was a big one. So our developer in this particular case was Acclaim Studios.
Shadow Man.
Nope. I think I've done Shadow Man already, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Published by Acclaim
keeping you
Entertainment. This game was available on all three platforms, GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. Again, it was brought out in 2003, February to be specific. It is a single-player only game and a platformer. It is a 3D platformer sort of in the vein of like a Mario 64. or Banjo-Kazooie, something of that ilk. Let's see. It was planned to be released on the Game Boy Advance as well, but it was canceled. The objective consists of collecting magical hearts to unlock new worlds to play. You also defeat enemies and jump across platforms. Can you imagine that? Your character is armed with legendary Astani war talons.
It's the Mark of Kree.
Nope. It's not. It's not, though.
Okay.
Which give him the power to defeat his enemies as well as fly and swim underwater. Let's see.
Mark of Rob Stapp. Scott Stapp, not Rob Stapp.
Majora's
Mark of Scott Stapp.
I'm going through the list of like 3D platformers that have existed over time. You've got like what's his name? The
Ty.
Ty. I was gonna say, keep on to say Taz for some reason.
Yeah, no, that was Game Boy Advance.
Ty, but Ty didn't have weapons. He had a boomerang, I guess.
Billy Hatcher and
Had
the
a
Giant Egg.
slingshot.
You had Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. You had God, what a
Grab by
weird
the
third
Goonies.
party platformers existed.
99
Chad has
Nights.
gotten it.
Who's the publisher?
Chat's gotten it?
Are you playing
Acclaim.
as a human?
Acclaim.
Oh, Acclaim. Okay. Oh God.
I mean, I don't really know how to answer that because I don't
Alright,
answer
sorry,
that.
I'm quizzing you and I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the picture of the guy in my head with like the things on his hands.
Yeah.
Mischief
I can't think of the name.
I should say I have actually played this one and I enjoyed it somewhat. I happen to own the Xbox copy myself.
I'm just not a fan of
Potatoes.
platformers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know it.
It was a bit janky, like it had some issues. It wasn't a perfect game, but ultimately, it was a solid like 7 I would give it. In fact, IGN gave it a
pretty good.
7.2 out of 10.
Well, there you go.
So the song was deliberately misleading us on the
Yeah.
IGN.
Is there like blue things under his eyes?
Kind of. Why are you asking me questions every
'Cause
time?
I
man?
feel like I can see the guy in my head, like I can see the cover, but the name is just not there.
It's like a bad dream.
I'll give you this little statement here. The main character was beaten with word and whip until his rage became unbearable. He finally lashes out at his oppressors. He is stopped by Yabu, who would have killed him if Vargas had not attacked. Yabu
Vargas.
saved his
Classic
I don't know,
Vargas.
like these names are always so random.
Yabu and Vargas.
I have no clue.
I'm tapping out.
Oh fuck!
Samurai.
Here's the thing. I know I'm gonna know it when I see it, but I don't have the name.
You are, because it's another one of those games you definitely stocked on GameStop shelves 100 times.
Yeah.
Johnny Bravo 64.
No, Vex.
There it is!
Hey!
Oh
Yes,
shit!
yes!
Oh, well done.
Oh yeah. All right.
Wow.
I remember that game.
Good job.
Well,
I think I
hey.
played that game.
Yeah, it was not
But
bad.
Don't
You
remember.
know,
I
I
remember
actually
hearing
think I
about
might
it.
have played this game. Hold the fuck on.
I remember
Right?
hearing about it, but I never
Like
played
that,
it.
I could see him in my
He
head. I
does
was like,
have
I
blue
know
things
that
under
guy.
his eyes.
He
and
does.
Things on his hands.
Oh, no, I haven't played this. Okay, never mind. I thought it was
Chat,
something
get
else.
it?
Really
How fast? I'm assuming
thin.
chat got it.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
thinking
chat
of...
got it pretty quickly. Zadrunas was the first one I saw in chat that got it, so congrats.
Nice.
Good job.
I was thinking of Gex, not Vex.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That was another
that's
one.
who I
Totally
was-
different games.
That's who I was thinking of. I was thinking of Gex. I actually never heard of Vex then.
Oh, man. Nice.
I
Well,
love
well done.
Gex.
We got another point.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll
Math
drop
has
that
got
down.
another point.
It's a shared point, all right?
Thank
we
you,
all
yeah.
have it.
A Mathis point splits an even like 1090 for Mathis. So
Sure.
I mean, you guys just give me the point if you want.
We can just give Rob the point. You want to just give Rob the point?
Give it to me,
Sure,
yeah.
Rob.
Yeah, get it, Rob.
All right,
Good
cool.
job,
Rob got
Good
the
job,
point.
Rob. You did it, Rob.
So on
Good
your
job, Rob.
on your tally sheet, Nick, make sure you do like Roundtable X, Nick Y, and then Rob has 1 point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's exactly what I did.
That's
Good.
what
He
it is.
has, he has his
We
own
and Rob
category.
are tied now.
The thing is, Nick and I have that GameStop thing where I've seen covers of
Yeah.
countless weird fucking things.
Yeah.
How you feeling, Barry? You feeling a little bit better?
I'm a lot better now
The
than I
laugh-
was 2 hours ago, for sure.
The laughter has cured your
It's helped me out.
ailments.
Weirdly
Wait,
enough.
awesome.
It was
2
talking
hours
about
ago,
jerking
we
off
were-
all those Okhlos people.
2 hours ago, though, we were already in the podcast, though.
Oh,
So.
no. I think I sweated it out too. I don't know how hot it is for you guys. It's like a balmy
Very
88 or 90 right
It is.
now.
It's 69 right now in my house.
Well, that is nice.
Nice and comfy.
Twitch.tv/RockLeeSmile to play some 6v9, huh? How about that?
Hell yeah.
And also,
Oh yeah, I didn't even make that correlation. Sorry. That's, yeah.
you can also follow us here on Twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for this very show that you just got done watching. Thank you very much for doing that. We appreciate you. You can also follow us on Twitter at RoundtablePC. You can catch the show discussion over on roundtablepodcast.reddit.com. You can rate the show 5 stars on iTunes and catch the VOD on all of our YouTube channels. Coming soon to all of our YouTube channels for sure as well. We're gonna get to doing that again. But we also want to thank those of you who have been supporting us over on Patreon.com/roundtable for forever. Thank you guys so much for maintaining these pledges. I like to point out every now and again just how long some of these people have been pledged for. Let's go with like from the very beginning here. We've had people that have been pledged since February of 2015. So, now it's not going to load, of course. All right. Well, fuck. I refreshed the page and the entire list is gone, so never mind. No one supports the show anymore.
Long-time subscribers. We
Deliberately misleading.
Flag. Let's say we should know your names by now. Christopher Flag.
Yeah, you got it. Now, see how many you can do off of memory.
EP Diablo.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was that guy who had a website that we kept checking on.
Oh, Jeff Rush.
Yeah, that's him?
No, Jeff Rush was on there for a while.
No, Jeff Rush. Jeff Rush.
I remember him.
Yeah.
PD Pablo? Really?
PD Pablo.
Let me go down the actual list real quick here. I want to again thank our patrons, $20 and above at the end of the show. Here we got Julian Avelsgaard, General Crunk, Jonathan Graham, Matt, Scrotty119. Stop me if you've heard these ones before. Artsy Fartsy, Nerdy as Fly, David Schmitz, Greenlight, Mavier, Oren Saltzman, Christopher Flag, Eric Schooley, Brizzlebrit, Positron, Myth Scarab, Mediocrities, Justin, Super Monoman, Smurfette, and Logan Ray. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show over on Patreon. Really appreciate that. And thank you all very much for watching this episode of Roundtable. We will be live. I will not be here next week. I'm actually letting these guys know now as well. I will not be here next week.
Looks like another Mathis run a show.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
So get ready for that. And I'll be back in September, I think it's going to be, isn't it? Yeah, no, that's going to be that's going to be PAX. So, wow, we've got...
The week after next is PAX.
Yep.
Cool, so 2 Mathis run shows.
Oh, yeah, well, it might just be a Mathis solo
Pod.
show for the weekend of PAX. We'll see how that goes down, but...
I will absolutely do a solo... Are you going to be here, Nick? You can do it with me?
I'm not going to PAX.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're not going to PAX either. Okay.
So Nick plus whoever else.
There you
I'm
go.
not cool enough to go to
Sinvicta,
con.
you're not invited. You're uninvicted.
Love you.
You're Sinvicted.
You're
Love you.
You've been Sinvicted.
Love you too, Mathis, Konami.
Thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you when we see you, I suppose. We'll figure it out. Follow us on Twitter. We'll know by then. Thanks for watching.
Teespring.com/Mathis. Only 3 days. Get the fuck Mathis shirt. Thank you.
Twitch.tv/mine.